Bobby Witt Jr.
Watch The Drive by subscribing on our wherever you get your podcasts.
This show is always going to stand on principles. Dippin' Dots are incredible. Red Lobster is the best restaurant that America has to offer. And baked beans are trash.
You're listening to Kansas City's FM sports station, 96.5 The Fan. Here's C-Dot.
Not quite C-Dot today. Hearing that intro, you just never know what you're going to hear on a given day. I didn't think a show would lead off with a Carrington Harrison hot take on baked beans. I agree with it. Frankly, I agree with all three of those sentiments. I'm a huge Dippin' Dots guy. You catch me at Kauffman Stadium or anywhere that sells Dippin' Dots, I'm going to beg my wife to get it. Logan Weber here filling in for Carrington on The Drive on this Friday afternoon. Robin producing the show as always. Our text line, 913-586-7965. We are in the doldrums. Week before the Super Bowl. Not that anybody in this area cares because the Chiefs aren't in it. We're all just kind of stuck in no man's land right now. Pitchers and catchers haven't reported for the Royals yet. Everybody just kind of hanging around, just waiting for something to happen. It's interesting, though. This actually broke last night, talking with Rob. It broke towards the end of the show yesterday. I had a chance to talk about it last night on After Hours, and this is kind of an interesting dynamic. This is going to cause a split, I think, among the fans, and that's sort of been the case with most of the hires, I would say, this offseason for the Chiefs. The request has been placed for Kansas City to interview, visit with Dylan McCullough, who is the running backs coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. Before that, he was the running backs coach at Notre Dame. We'll get more into that in just a minute. But the biggest, I guess, part of this story is that Dylan McCullough was the Chiefs running backs coach from 2018 to 2020. He got the running backs coach job back when Eric Bieniemy first took over as the team's offensive coordinator with the team for 3 years, helped them win that Super Bowl in 2019 into 2020, and then kind of bounced around college for a little while. A year at Indiana as an assistant head coach and running backs coach. And then, as I mentioned, those 3 years with the Fighting Irish before taking over for the running backs position group under Pete Carroll last year in Las Vegas. And we'll talk more about this throughout the show, I'm sure. I go back and forth on this. And this is something that I've been called Baby C-Dot a little bit, or C-Dot Jr. for my perspective on this. I'm not the biggest fan of the Eric Bieniemy hiring. I am not the biggest fan necessarily of this hiring. I'm not saying that I dislike it or that I hate it, but we've been talking so much over the last 6 months with this Chiefs team, since the struggles started back in August and September, about, man, this team it needs some new blood. You need some new ideas. And they're covering some of those bases, right? Bringing in a wide receivers coach that has no direct affiliation with Andy Reid in his past. The two hirings yesterday, the quality control coaches, the one that was a wide receivers coach at Villanova, and then one that was a safeties coach at Coastal Carolina coming in. Younger guys, energetic guys that could maybe bring some different philosophies that could help this Chiefs team. But those guys aren't incredibly influential parts of the team. They're quality control coaches. We don't talk a lot about them. So how much input are they really going to be given? And I mean, it seems like collectively most of the fan base agrees that bringing in the same recycled players over and over again isn't working. So why should we all collectively get on board and say that it's good to bring in the same coaches from the past and say that that's going to continue working, right? Nobody seemed overly excited about Derek Nottie returning to this team last year, especially after you let him walk and go to New York and then you traded for him. You let Mike Pennell go and then you signed him after the Bengals cut him mid-season. You've done the same thing with McCole Hardman. You brought Juju Smith-Schuster back, Kareem Hunt, and frankly, Kareem Hunt's the only one that's worked out with any kind of, any larger sample size. I'm not saying that they're not going to work. I'm still hopeful that they're going to work. But I can't help but express the reservations that I have about what I believe to be troubles with a little bit of an echo chamber inside that building. These are all guys that Andy Reid has had direct affiliations with throughout his career. He brings these guys back, and the respect is there. No question about it. These guys respect Andy. Andy respects them. But when you're the head coach and you've got the last say, the last input on things, and the people that you're around aren't coming to you with new ideas because they're so centered into what it is that you do and what you've done throughout your career, this team has been predictable over the last 3 years. How are you going to solve predictability by bringing in people that were already previously associated with this staff? That's what makes me nervous. Another part of it that makes me nervous is, and this people were pointing this out last night, the affiliation that Dylan McCullough has. And I'm going through this tangent. It's not as if the guy's been hired yet. I would lean towards that being what happens, considering he's currently employed by the Las Vegas Raiders, who don't have a head coach. It sounds like they're going to get Clint Kubiak to be their next man. He's an offensive-minded guy and will probably replace a large chunk of that offensive staff, at least on that side of the football. If Dylan McCullough is the hire, that direct affiliation with Notre Dame is going to really, really come into focus. Because, who's the number one running back on the draft board this year? Oh, it's Jeremiah Love. Where did Jeremiah Love play running back at in college? Oh, Notre Dame. Who was Jeremiah Love's lead recruiter at Notre Dame, you might ask? It's Dylan McCullough. Multiple stories that you can go back and read that are archived about the relationship that McCullough and Jeremiah Love have, how important McCullough was for not only getting Jeremiah Love to Notre Dame, but the relationship that they created, how much McCullough helped him become a better football player. That relationship is going to be reported on at length over the next 3 months if he gets hired by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just have to hope that it doesn't mean that the Chiefs are just going to pencil in Jeremiah Love as their first-round pick if he's available at number 9. I don't believe that answering the running back problem with the 9th overall pick is the correct solution. I believe you sign a running back in free agency and you draft one in the middle rounds. The Prince kid or Price kid from Notre Dame. You know, Jeremiah Love's backup, I think, is a viable mid-round option. Emmett Johnson out of Notre Dame is kind of my more under-the-radar value guy. I think he fits the scheme of the offense that the Chiefs run really, really well. I wouldn't be opposed to, like, Nick Singleton from Penn State if he's there and those other guys are gone. I don't like the idea of taking a running back with the 9th overall pick. He's got to be generational in that aspect, and I don't see Jeremiah Love as generational. I think he's incredibly talented. He is, without a doubt, the best running back in this draft class. But I don't think he is in the same echelon of an Adrian Peterson or a Saquon Barkley or a Christian McCaffrey, a Bijan Robinson. Frankly, I don't see him in the same category as Ashton Genty coming out of Boise State last year. I just don't. There are other problems that this Chiefs team can try to solve that are higher capital position groups with the 9th overall pick. You want to solve a problem along the defensive line, interior or edge-wise? A top 10 pick is the best way to do that. It gets exponentially more sketchy the further down the line you get. You can find impactful running backs in the mid-rounds. you can somehow find impactful running backs in the late rounds. Isaiah Pacheco, for all the negative that's been said, and some of it rightfully so, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Chiefs should bring him back and he's the solution at running back. He had a couple of good years there, even for a 7th-round pick. So I think that you can solve other problems at 9 that don't involve the running back position. However, it's going to be impossible to ignore if the way that this is trending actually happens and Dylan McCullough is the running backs coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. You're now going to bring in an offensive coordinator that's most recently been a running backs coach and a brand new running backs coach with a wealth of experience in the position. So no matter what the Chiefs elect to do at running back, you've got to, whatever it is, that's got to be the solution. You have got to find a way to reinstitute a running game. It's not as if the Chiefs' running game has been absolutely... It's not as if it's been there, but it's been ineffective. It's that it hasn't existed, and it's been ineffective. That's been the biggest issue, is they don't use the running game. They go away from it so often, and when they do go to it, it doesn't work. This will be a completely revamped running back room, from the offensive coordinator to the running backs coach to the running backs in the room outside of potentially Brashard Smith, right? They're not going to put Carson Steele on this active roster. They're, what's the guy from the Texans that they picked up at the end of the year? I can't remember that guy's name. Damian Pierce, thank you. I couldn't remember that guy's name to save my life. I don't anticipate him being back with this team next year. I don't see it. Jeremiah Love is not a generational talent at the running back position. And if you're taking a running back in the top 10 of a draft class in today's day and age of the NFL, he has to fall under that generational category. And he's not. Find an edge rusher like a David Bailey from Texas Tech. Find an interior defensive lineman like a Peter Woods, who could become the heir apparent on the interior to Chris Jones if you elect to move on from him, if the struggles continue from that point. You know, you guys talked yesterday about Brian Cook quite a bit. Him being listed as a top 20 free agent, I think his market value is going to be too high. I wouldn't be opposed if Caleb Downs is sitting there at the 9th overall pick and you have him higher on your board than you do an edge rusher or a defensive tackle. Then you go with Caleb Downs and you try to solve that opening that you have at safety, because otherwise you're rolling with Shamari Connor and Jaden Hicks. And it seemed like Steve Spagnuolo wasn't overly impressed with how Jaden Hicks performed this year in his second season with the team. 913-586-7965, our number. Huge matchup in Lawrence, Kansas tomorrow. You've got BYU and AJ DeBansa, the presumptive number 2 overall pick in this year's NBA draft, according to most mocks, coming to Kansas to battle Darren Peterson, the presumptive number 1 overall pick, and the Jayhawks. And we had a chance to catch up with Seth Greenberg of ESPN's College Game Day. They are in Lawrence. They will be at the game tomorrow about this matchup. Can't wait to hear that conversation. That's next right here. Logan Weber filling in for Carrington Harrison along with Rob Britton. You're listening to The Drive, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
On your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker.
Yes.
Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
Oh! There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain Scent Boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEB-NOW-1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
DQ presents The Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve. Plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
A KFC tale in the pursuit of flavor. The Colonel despised the word empty. Empty plates, empty tables, empty stomachs. That's why he made the KFC $5 bowls, like the famous bowl. Creamy mashed potatoes, crispy chicken, corn, gravy, and cheese. Because the only empty the Colonel liked was when you reached the bottom of that bowl. The Colonel lived so we could chicken. 5 KFC bowls for just $5 each.
Prices and participation may vary. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hey, it's Alex Gold, and coming up on Tuesday, February 10th, everyone from the station will be hosting the Chiefs Off-Season Show, starting at 9 a.m. Bob, Dusty, Cody, C-Dot, and myself will all be in studio and on camera for 2 hours talking about what went wrong in 2025, the Chiefs' biggest needs in free agency, and who should they be targeting in the upcoming NFL Draft. The Chiefs Off-Season Show, starting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, February 10th, right here on your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Subscribe to 96.5 The Fan on YouTube to watch the show from wherever you are.
It's always a great time of year. We are approaching the end of January, into February. That March to March, I guess you could say, no pun intended, has begun. And we've got a massive game in Lawrence, Kansas tomorrow. Jayhawks hosting BYU. And, of course, the coup de grace of the matchup is the potential top 2 picks in this year's NBA draft. Darren Peterson for Kansas against A.J. Debansa of BYU. And on the line with us right now to talk about it is ESPN's Seth Greenberg, host of College Game Day over on the ESPN Network. And Seth, this matchup has so many great storylines to follow, doesn't it?
It's incredible. Well, first of all, anytime you have a big-time matchup in the fog, it's just a little bit different. The cathedral of college basketball. So you put a big game in that environment, Hall of Fame coach, a legendary program, a great player on the other team, and a great, actually, trio of players when you include Richie Saunders and Rob Wright, and you have the makings for not a game, but an event.
Of course, from our perspective here in Kansas City, looking at this Kansas team maybe a little bit more closely, they are arguably playing their best basketball of the year. Trey White and Melvin Council are getting a little bit more involved now that Darren Peterson's back. His health, of course, has been in question throughout the year. But how do you see this Kansas team with the way that they're playing right now with huge wins recently against Iowa State and Baylor in Lawrence against this BYU team that's playing good ball themselves?
Yeah, I think that actually the time that Darren Peterson was out was really good in big picture for this Kansas team because it gave Trey White greater ownership. It gave Melvin Council great ownership. They played Pete Flory more. Now, when Darren's back, here's the challenge. You're not playing to Darren Peterson, you're playing with him. And, so it takes time to, establish and get a feel for playing with another key piece and a great player. And then defensively, you saw when Darren first came back, they were switching 1 through 5, and they were making some defensive mistakes uncharacteristic to a Kansas team. And I think Bill simplified what they're doing defensively, kind of keeping the small guys switching amongst themselves, the bigs up front, switching amongst themselves. And defensively, they're terrific. Melvin Council's a terrific defender. Trey White is a multiple positional defender. And Darren Peterson's a good defender. So they've simplified what they're doing defensively. Offensively, they're learning how to play with Darren and still be aggressive. You can't just, you bring in such a great player, and you still have to have an aggressive Melvin Council, an aggressive Trey White. You can't forget about playing through the post and getting Bedinga touches. So, I think there's a process. It just, you don't get, this isn't Dorothy. You snap your fingers and good stuff's going to happen now. I mean, you've got to basically learn to play and trust and play together. And I think that's what's happening. And I think the potential for this Kansas team is very high.
When you look at the Big 12 as a whole, this is a matchup that's got huge implications to it, certainly, but it's not as if they're playing for who's now the top team in the Big 12. You look at Houston and Arizona and Texas Tech. This league is incredibly deep, top to bottom. So for the winner of this game, what kind of momentum can it give them heading into the home stretch, I guess you could say, of the regular season in terms of where they can place themselves seeding-wise in the Big 12 and, of course, the NCAA tournament as well?
You got to hold home court. I mean, the league is so good. I mean, Arizona's so good. Texas Tech is brutal. They got, they're playing at a high level with a physicality to them. I mean, you go up and down the league, and Houston and the way Kingston Flemings is playing, and Sinak is giving them good minutes, and they got great leadership. I mean, look, there are no rocket share games in this league. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you don't play well, you're going to lose, and eventually everyone is going to lose. But you're positioning yourself, for a seeding in the conference tournament, and you're positioning yourself for a seeding in the NCAA tournament. This is real simple. The teams that you just mentioned, their goal is to win a league, but their goal is also to get to the Final Four and compete for a national championship. So, your team is always a work in progress. This time of the year, the grind of, February, how does your team handle it? How do they deal with adversity? Do they grow through adversity? Adversity business is strong at those of the week. Do they get to the next play? Do they have a hangover? Do they stay together? There are so many things that happen as a coach. You've got to manage in a lot of ways to keep your team in a good spot because the season is a journey. It's not a destination. There are going to be roadblocks and detours. Kansas has had a ton of roadblocks and detours with Peterson's injury, him coming in out of the lineup, but they've grown from it. But you've also got to understand you got to have a short-term memory. You got to, you play a game, you don't play well, you got to put a Band-Aid on the problems, and you got to get ready for the next game. If not, the next game will get you, and then all of a sudden it's a problem. And then you got to look at your schedule. A lot of these schedules are backloaded. So it's who you play, when you play, and where you play them. So the biggest thing is you want to play your best basketball in March, and that's what as a coach, that's what you're working on, so that come March. If you're one of those teams that has a chance to win it all, that you've got a Band-Aid on all your problems, your team is in a good frame mentally, physically, emotionally, you're all on the same page, and you're ready for the madness.
Visiting with ESPN's Seth Greenberg. And Seth, we're looking here locally in Kansas City at some of the other teams in our direct vicinity, looking at like Mizzou, for example. This is a team that record-wise, they look solid. They're middle of the pack, so to say, in the SEC. But lack of a really strong non-conference schedule. Their best win right now is probably Minnesota during their non-conference. When you look at what they've got remaining, what is it going to take, in your view, for this Mizzou team to compete, just to get in contention for an NCAA tournament with no real marquee non-conference wins?
Yeah, but you're going to have a lot of opportunity for a lot of wins against the field within your conference. So you've got to win those games. You've got to win the games against the upper half of the SEC, because every one of those games is an opportunity potentially for a quad one win. So, you've got to find a way to beat the teams at the top. And what's happening is, some teams at the top have gotten better, because some teams in the middle that are going to be at the top. Like, it's hard to win at Auburn. And, obviously they've had success. It's hard to win at Alabama now that they got Bediako. It's hard to win at Arkansas. It's hard to win. You start going at Florida, or it's hard to beat those teams at home. So you need wins against the field. It's plain. It really is as simple as that. And you beat teams. You've got to beat. The South Carolina win's not helping you, right? It's just not helping you. It's a good win. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but that win's not helping you. You've got because of your schedule early on, and that you didn't have those wins that resonate with the selection committee. You can't have a bad loss, and you've got to have wins against the field. It's really that simple.
And when you look, talking about the state of Kansas, at Kansas State basketball right now, they are in the doldrums, so to speak. 1-7 to start Big 12 play. A lot of conversations being had about Jerome Tang and his future in Manhattan. When you look at what the Wildcats have done this season, what has gone wrong? What's it going to take to try to right this ship and maybe extend Jerome Tang's tenure at Kansas State?
All your controllables, like Jerome Tang and any coach that's in that situation. Focus on what you can control. Simplify everything you're doing. Get to a 7-man rotation. Get a group of guys that are playing well together. Can't keep everyone happy, and you've got to find a way to do it. You're trying to win games, and this is very simplistic, but I used to call it the art of the upset. Right? It's real simple though. Every game now, you've got to figure out. You've got to have this mentality. Right? We got to win the turnover game. All right? We can't turn basketball over. Turnovers for touchdowns, and we got to be able to set our defense. We got to limit our opponent to one shot. One shot only. All right? That means we got to compete on the backboards. And we got to take the other team's best player out of the game. You can't let the other team's best player beat you. So if you're K-State, or the other team's best 2 players, if you're going to lose, if you're going to get, potentially be in a situation where you're going to lose your job, you can't let the other team's best players beat you. Force someone else to beat you. At least you can sleep at night. Like when I coached, the key to like every big game that we ever won was we took out the other team's best players. So don't turn it over. Beat on the backboards, win people to one shot. Take out the other team's best players, and then at the end of the game, have someone step up and make a play. And that's what they're going to need to do moving forward. I'm not a big hot seat guy and all that BS. Like Jerome Tang, focus on what you can control. You can't control people online. You can't control Twitter. You can't control Instagram. You can't control your beat writers. What you can control is your approach every single day at putting your team in the best position to win. That's it, and that's what you should focus on.
Well, it's going to be an incredibly exciting final 6 weeks of the regular season here in college basketball. Seth, appreciate you joining us here this afternoon. Enjoy the atmosphere in Lawrence tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute set of mayhem, as it usually is there in the Fog.
Can't wait to be a blast. I'm looking forward to watching practice today and getting a chance to see just a big-time basketball game in an incredible environment and an incredible venue.
Again, that's Seth Greenberg of ESPN, one of the guys on the panel for College Game Day. I mean, this game has so many great storylines around it, but it begins and ends really with Debanza versus Darren Peterson. Frankly, I don't think that's going to be the deciding factor in who wins this basketball game. I think it's going to come down to the contributing pieces for these two clubs, who really rises to the fore, whether it be, that combination of Trey White and Melvin Council and Flory Badunga for KU, or for BYU, is it Richie Saunders and Robert Wright that are able to really get involved? BYU's entire offense is predicated mostly on those three guys. I mean, DeBansa averages almost 24 a game, Richie Saunders almost 19, and Robert Wright averages 17 and a half. Their fourth leading scorer is Dawson Baker. He hasn't played in a while. He's only played in 6 games this whole year. He averages 7.5 points a game. So BYU relies heavily on their top three. KU is a little bit more balanced. However, anybody watching this game, Rob, has to be looking at DeBansa versus Darren Peterson first and foremost, the presumptive top 2 picks in this year's draft.
Listen, I've come on the air a lot, basically since June. Actually, that's not true. It was April of last year. I've basically come on the air and talked about how much I love Darren Peterson and how special he is, to the point where people now are mad about me talking about it, and that's fine. But if you have never watched AJ DeBonsta and you are getting the chance to see him for the first time Saturday, he is also a freak. He's an athlete like you've never seen. Now, he can't shoot the ball at all.
No.
He loves to take the three. I think opponents love when he takes a three as well. But he's what, 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", depending on where you look at your measurements. He can handle the ball. He is probably as close to Kevin Durant as we've seen in college. Maybe Blake Griffin, because he's more of a pogo stick. And they run their offense through him. It's basically give him the ball at the top, pick and roll until he gets a matchup he likes. He gets downhill, and he really likes to rip the rim off when he tries to dunk. So I could come on here and spout about Darren Peterson because it's very easy. He's going to be the first pick in the draft. But it's not like as a casual, if you're a non-KU fan, watching this game, you're going to be, well, ho-hum, I just see Darren, because DeBonsta is absolutely worth the price of admission. And these two have matched up a bunch at the AAU levels. There's a familiarity, too, maybe a little friendly rivalry is a good way to say it, because they played at AAU and high school level against each other.
I mean, this game fascinates me. I mean, really, you talk about AJ DeBansa. What is the defensive matchup going to look like for KU tomorrow? Because they have a handful of guys that I think they can throw at him, right? I mean, Flory Badunga is kind of an undersized 5 that I think he could do some good things guarding AJ in the post, but you can't put him out on the perimeter against him, or he's going to kill you getting to the cup. I anticipate this being a game where you throw kind of a combination of Melvin Council out there at him, who is a good defender. He can guard 1 through 5. He's got great length. Trey White is sort of this he's this tweener. He's listed as a guard, but he's got great size. He's a phenomenal rebounder. He can guard inside and outside. I think KU matches up fairly well with DeBansa in this game. And for BYU, how do you match up with what Kansas wants? Because I don't see anybody. I mean, Kiba Kita is maybe the guy that you have on Badunga, certainly, and I anticipate Robert Wright is probably going to spend the majority of the time guarding Darren Peterson. I don't think you risk letting DeBansa get wore out trying to guard Darren Peterson offensively. And I surely don't think you want Richie Saunders guarding Darren Peterson in this game. There's going to be a lot of strategic parts of this game that are going to make or break who is ultimately the winner here. And it was interesting talking with Seth about what this game means. It's weird to look at a late January game as having major implications on your season, but with KU and BYU being the 13th and 14th ranked teams in the country, they're both trailing, kind of the top of the heap in the Big 12 standings right now. You're behind Houston and Arizona and Texas Tech and Iowa State. So the winner gets to keep pace with those guys, distance themselves a little bit more from the other, and stay firmly along that 4 seed line in the bracketologies that we're looking at. Put yourself into a conversation about pushing into the 3 seed line, keeping the door open for a 2 seed. Meanwhile, you lose this game, it could have some serious ramifications for you getting into that top 4 seed group of the conference, and probably pushes you more into the 5 or the 6 seed line heading into February and that home stretch of the regular season.
This game has all the makings of an incredible college basketball game, because this game is not just for the KU fan or the BYU fan. College basketball, I love the sport, but it's like baseball. It's regional. You follow your team. Like, if you're a K-State fan listening, you might hate watch KU, but you follow your team. You're hoping Jerome Tang gets fired in a month. If you're a Mizzou fan, you're watching the bubble. You're not watching the Illinois games. It's regional. It's like baseball. This game obviously scratches that itch for KU and BYU fans, but for the casual, this is two of the best players we've seen in college in, 5-10 years? Like, these are the most hyped freshmen we've seen since Zion Williamson. They have played against each other. They're going against each other, and they are both guys that I've heard podcasts from Field of 68. I know Rob Doster was today on Cody and Gold. They both have this mentality of when they feel like they're not the best player in the gym, they raise their game a couple levels. You saw it on Monday night with DeBansta against Arizona. He was like, okay, I don't like how this is going. I'm going to raise my level. Darren Peterson, in that Baylor game, there's supposedly someone on Baylor started getting a little chirpy early in the game. Darren then dropped 26.5, basically reminding him, I'm Darren Peterson and you're not. These guys are going to raise everyone's level. I was talking to Drew about this in the newsroom. I can't remember when we had this level of quality in individual players going up against each other head-to-head. I mean, Blake Griffin versus Durant maybe might be the closest thing where you went, these are two NBA bona fide players, and they are head-to-head. But even, those games were, I guess that would be the closest because it's a rivalry game, but I can't think of a matchup where you had that guy against that guy, and they're head-to-head. It's January. There's no football. It's a standalone. It's going to be a marquee matchup, and I hope even non-KU fans and the casuals tune in just to see the pure raw talent of both players.
It's going to be a phenomenal game through and through. I think DeBansa and Darren Peterson, they're going to show out and do what they do. This game is ultimately, like I said earlier, going to come down to the supporting cast. And somebody in the text line mentioned, look for Bryson Tiller to continue to involve himself. He had a phenomenal game, the best game of his young career against K-State last time out. Can he continue that? Because KU's a deeper basketball team than BYU is. BYU's got more star power at the top, outside of the DeBansa Peterson conversation with Richie Saunders and what he does, but KU, it can come from a variety of different places. It's just a matter of can they do it with any level of consistency. This wasn't in our rundown to begin the show, but I just managed to find this via social media. Tom Pelissero of obviously covers the league in the NFL as a whole, put out this tweet a little while ago saying that the NFL, this according to sources, has informed clubs today of a projected salary cap for next year. Right now, the range is somewhere between $301.2 million and $305.7 million. Right now, the league's current salary cap is $279.2 million. So a huge jump, $22 to $26 million. They are expecting the league's salary cap to jump. I know that yesterday you guys had Mike Giannetti. I'm not sure I completely forgot how you pronounce that last name. I'll be honest with you. You guys had him on yesterday from Spot Track, correct? And he was talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the current situation of their salary cap. It could be interesting to see how this ultimately helps alleviate some of those issues.
It's a bad time for the cap isn't real people out there, because it's real, and it eventually does come up to get you, and that's what we're seeing here, right, with the Mahomes stuff that has been pushed down the line a couple times here. He leads the league right now with a $78 million cap hit, and the Chris Jones contract, of course, is well front-loaded in this regard. So those two alone, Carrington, account for about half of this Chiefs salary cap when it's all said and done. So, like I said, plenty of ways to get out of this, but you've got big time contracts for those players and Trey Smith and a few others, the highest paid center in football. It's going to add up eventually, and you're going to have to massage it as needed to get yourself through another season.
Yeah, and even with this huge bump in the salary cap numbers that they're projecting, the Chiefs are still in a bad way. I mean, looking at Spot Track's numbers, they say that the total cap allocations for the Chiefs are in the $359 million range. So even if the salary cap jumps to 305.7, you're still $50+ million under the cap. Yeah, there are things that they can do, a possible restructuring of Chris Jones. I don't anticipate a restructuring of Patrick Mahomes' contract because they've done it so many times. Eventually, you got to pay the piper in that situation, converting it into signing bonuses and what have you. Maybe there's some way they can work around it. They're going to save around $20 million if they were to cut ties with Juwan Taylor, which I still anticipate them doing. Looking at some of the other moves that they can make, if you cut Christian Fulton, you save another $5. So that's $25 million. You cut ties with Mike Dana, you save $9 million roughly. And you cut Drew Tranquil, that's another $6 million. So even by cutting those 4 guys, you're still not under the salary cap. Yeah, all well and good that they're raising the salary cap, and it's wild how much they've raised it, man. The salary cap in 2022 was $208.2 million. In 4 years, it will have gone up by nearly $100 million. That's where the league is now.
You know why? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. Not to point at one thing. Everyone's least favorite thing in the world makes a lot of money, and it's called streaming.
Yep.
I hate streaming games. I presume you hate streaming games. Textline hates streaming games. But you know what games on Amazon are good for? Filling up your coffers with cash. It is not surprising to me that you've seen some of the largest jumps in the cap from 2022 and on. What started happening in 2022?
Yeah.
They started going to streaming. And guess what? There's been more and more international games. So if you are a proponent of the cap goes up, I'm excited, you then have to be a proponent of all these things that fans hate. It's a yin and a yang the NFL gives us.
Yeah, there's more ways to watch the game, more different, different streaming services and channels that are getting involved and paying out huge paydays to these teams. The popularity of the league has risen because of it. Of course, here in Kansas City, hard to ignore the impact that Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark and some of these other high-profile celebrities and other sports and other venues have the spotlight they've given the league. I mean, going back to 2022 is one thing that's insane. How about in the last decade? The salary cap for the National Football League in 2016, 10 years ago, $155.27 million, meaning the salary cap will have nearly doubled in 10 years across the league. Those numbers are absurd. 913-586-7965 is our number. Carrington off today. Logan Weber in here filling in alongside Rob, doing a great job producing as always. You're listening to The Drive, 96.5, The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on Kansas City's only FM sports station, 96.5, The Fan.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Heartland Men's Health today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Heartland Men's Health will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
I'm Pierre Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEB-NOW1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. I mean, mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
This afternoon, mix of sun and clouds, a chance of snow showers, high of 20.
Weather brought to you by Duke's Mayo. Welcome to Duke's Mayo Country, where the mayo is so smooth and creamy, it makes every bite better. Duke's Mayo. Look for the yellow lid.
Welcome to your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
Well, the Buffalo Bills have their new head coach. Of course, it's been widely discussed this week, elevating offensive coordinator Joe Brady to the helm. And already, he is coming to the defense of his players in spite of the ownership. As the weird offseason in Buffalo continues, yesterday in a interview with a newspaper, I believe, out of Syracuse, Joe Brady was asked about Keon Coleman, the relationship that he has with him, what his expectations are for the former Florida State wide receiver with the team moving forward, stating, quote, Keon Coleman is going to be a Buffalo Bill. I told Keon when I got hired, the best thing that happened to Keon Coleman was me being his head coach. All right. Sounds a bit chest puffy to me, but I digress. I was one of the ones that stood on the table for Keon Coleman, and I believe in him, which is a direct contradiction of the ownership group of the Buffalo Bills, or the owner of the Buffalo Bills, who, you know, was very much like Brandon had nothing, you know, that Brandon Beane, their general manager and now president of football operations as well, he had nothing to do with that. That was all the coaches. The coaches wanted him. And apparently one of the coaches that wanted him the you know, most badly, I guess, is now your head coach. This story is so weird, man. Like, you fired the head coach, and one of the reasons you gave was because of a situation like, well, Brandon didn't want Keon Coleman. The coaching staff, you know, begged for it, and they got their wish, and it hasn't worked. Okay, so you hired one of the coaches that was one of the strongest advocates for it, for a guy that's still on your team? I don't really understand. This story is so weird to me. Like, it's not quite to the same level, but it's got like a great value Dan Snyder with the Washington Commanders / football team feel to it, of like active sabotage from the ownership a little bit in this situation.
I actually think, you know, I don't want to come off like I'm defending the Buffalo Bills because their dysfunction has been fun to watch. I think in the moment, if I'm guessing, the owner of the Bills is sitting there next to the GM he decided to keep instead of Sean McDermott, and he feels like the best way to defend him in that moment is to throw the coach under the bus. Hey, the guy who got fired, he stunk. This guy's great. Here's this random anecdote about why he's great. I don't know it's true, false, this, that, or the other. I just think the owner thought it's white knight time for the guy that I kept on staff, but it has actually only people now pull the thread and realize, wait a second, there's a level of dysfunction here that we didn't know about before, where if he hadn't said anything, the GM tries to defend the pick, and the soundbite, I promise, doesn't make Kansas City. It doesn't make national news, but I think the owner tried to defend the GM and made things so much worse.
Yeah, bit off way more than he intended on chewing in that situation. And you're right. I mean, it sort of raised everybody's eyes nationally about what the hell's going on in Buffalo. And like trying to defend Brandon Beane and his draft history over one player, it's like, okay, so maybe he was, maybe he was just beaten down over the Keon Coleman situation. Okay, I guess we can justify that. Does that justify all the other misses that he's made in the NFL draft in the last 5-6 years? Like, Cole Bishop, Khalil Shakir, maybe Greg Rousseau are like the only super viable picks that Brandon Beane has made in the last 5 years. And maybe that's unfair. We'll see how the 2025 class plays itself through. But, Maxwell Hairston was their first pick that they made, and it's not like he lit the world on fire, and he was the best player in their draft class by far this season. I just don't really understand that's the thing. Like, that's the hill that you're trying to place yourself upon in order to defend Brandon Beane. What does that man have on you? What is Brandon Beane doing that justified not only him keeping his job, but also being promoted to the president of football operations? Like, it would be one thing to just make him the president of football ops and take away the general manager title and bring in somebody else to run the day-to-day. But no. Let's give him the promotion and let him keep his current title and his current job. So now he just does both? I'd argue he doesn't do one of them very effectively. How are you expecting him to do two of them well?
I'm not saying this is the answer, but I'm betting the answer is when Terry Pagula is like, hey, what do you do around here to Brandon Beane? He points to number 17.
Yeah.
That's out because, listen, getting the quarterback right is maybe the hardest thing to do in sports, definitely the hardest thing to do in the NFL. Look at the Browns. When you get it wrong, you just keep trying, and if you keep getting it wrong, it's a problem. I'm betting Brandon Beane says, I got you that guy. Let me build around him. Because you're right. His last few drafts, his last few free agency cycles have been woeful. But I'm betting in those meetings, he says, well, I got Josh Allen in the building. I got Josh Allen signed up long-term in Buffalo. I got that guy. So let's stick it out and see what I can do. I can't imagine he says anything else. Because not like he can say, hey, man, look at the success of, who was that corner? Kasir Elam.
Yeah.
He can't point to Keon Coleman like it's first-round pick after first-round pick flop. He can't point to those guys, but I'm betting he points to 17, and 17 has made a lot of money for the ownership group.
Oh, no question. And that's fair. At the same time, though, it's like, okay, yeah, you drafted Josh Allen. Yeah, you gave him the long-term extension. You brought in a great situation. You brought Brian Daboll in, who kind of helped, quote-unquote, fix Josh Allen after a troublesome first couple years in the league. That's great. What else? You drafted Josh Allen, and you've kept him here, and you've helped to turn him into an MVP candidate and an MVP winner, for that matter. Have you done anything with it? No? Okay. Like, I could understand Brett Veach saying that. Like, hey, I'm a huge part of why Patrick Mahomes is here in the first place. I am a huge part of why Patrick Mahomes is still here. And you're like, oh, yeah. And you won 3 Super Bowls with the guy. You've been to 5. Okay. Like, even the Bengals general manager, it's like, yeah, you drafted. Yeah, okay. You got Burrow. You kept him around. You got us to a Super Bowl. We didn't win it. But even him, it's like, you've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. What's next? What's next? I can't fathom it. I don't disagree with the decision to fire Sean McDermott. But for my money, if you were going to fire Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane had to go out the door too. It was sort of like an all or nothing sort of thing. You're either cleaning house or the house remains despite a laxed foundation. Bizarre. Through and through. Coming up, we have got our resident Royals insider, Josh Vernier, joining us. Talk a little Vinny Pasquantino, Bobby Witt Jr., and I want to talk about Isaac Collins because I am becoming a bigger Isaac Collins fan seemingly by the day as we prepare for pitchers and catchers to report, the start of spring training, and ultimately opening day with how he performed last year in Milwaukee and what I think he can do at Kauffman Stadium for the Kansas City Royals. That's next, so stick around. Logan Weber filling in for CDOT alongside Rob Britton. You're listening to The Drive, 96.5, The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. When severe weather hits, tune in to 98.1 KMBZ for Operation Stormwatch. Brought to you by Century Roofing. Proudly voted the #1 roofing company in all of Kansas City. CenturyRoofingKC.com.
What's good, y'all? It's Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, SAG Master, and now your host of Free Range. This is where NFL meets real talk. Every week, I'm bringing you inside the game, from locker room stories to league-wide headlines. You want football IQ, locker room insight, and real conversations with the people shaping the league? Welcome to Free Range with Von Miller, where nothing is off limits and every down counts. New episodes every Wednesday. Listen and follow Free Range with me, Von Miller, wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, it's Gold, and just because the calendar turned over to 2026 doesn't mean Shawnee Mission Ford still isn't on a mission to do more. In fact, they're still offering the largest discounts, giving top trade allowances in Kansas City. I'm still enjoying driving the great Ford F-150. That 360 camera makes the parking so easy for me now. Also, the heated seats for most start. It is a must in the wintertime. So if you're looking for a place to buy a vehicle, it is Shawnee Mission Ford. They're also going to be with you whenever you need the service done. Shawnee Mission Ford is on a mission to do more in 26.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
DQ presents The Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve. Plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain Scent Boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues with UFC 325 live from Australia. Catch featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski in a rematch of his epic title fight against Diego Lopez, and the always dangerous Dan Hooker throws down with dynamic finisher Benoit Saint Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown. UFC fans, pay-per-view just got knocked out. Catch UFC 325 on Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus. Stream every fight live with one subscription. Visit ParamountPlus.com/UFC to get started.
Presented by Robinhood.
He crosses, spins, pulls up.
With Robinhood Prediction Markets, buy or sell your predictions all game long. No house odds, just you versus the market. Put your sports IQ to work. Trade every shot, block, steal, run, and moment that shifts the game. With Robinhood Prediction Markets, trade every play. Visit Robinhood.com/predict to start trading. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Hey, Royals fans, it's Vern. I'll be broadcasting live from Royals Rally on Saturday, January 31st, starting at 9 a.m. as I sit down with the biggest names in the organization before they head off to spring training. This is your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM. HD1 and HD2 Kansas City. An Odyssey Sports Station.
Getting us ready here on 96.5 The Fan for the Royals Rally. Tomorrow from 9 a.m. to noon, our resident Royals insider Josh Vernier is going to be over at the K, where you will get a chance to hear from Royals players, front office members. If you can't catch it live, it's available on demand on the All Things Vern channel. And on the line with us right now is Josh Vernier. And Josh, first thing, so you were doing your show last night, and when you were closing things out, you referred to me as, quote, another great baseball mind. And I have to say, while I greatly appreciate the compliment, I don't think I am at the same level as you, and I feel like you set some unfair expectations on me.
It's also very arrogant of me to assume that I'm a great baseball mind, and I'm in charge of dictating who else is a baseball mind. So, yeah, maybe my head was a little too far up my backside as I was finishing that show last night. But, man, I'm fired up. Baseball's right around the corner, and once again, you go into the season with an expectation of the postseason returning to Kansas City, and I think anything short, it'll be a disappointing offseason. And, I don't know how much pressure then descends on the team or the front office or the coaching staff, but back-to-back seasons of falling short of October when you have Bobby Witt Jr. and this type of pitching talent, it's going to be hard to excuse.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, a trip to the divisional round 2 years ago. Last year, it's the 82-win season, and we've heard from J.J. Piccolo about raising the floor of this Royals baseball team. He says he feels like he's done that. What can you specifically point to with some of the off-season moves and acquisitions that makes him feel as though this team is a little bit better prepared, at least in terms of its floor, but maybe not the ceiling?
Yeah, well, as far as a floor is concerned, back-to-back winning seasons to me is not enough to say that floor has been solidified. So I need to see another year or two before, in my opinion, a standard is truly set in Kansas City among Royals fans and the Royals organization. As far as this offseason is concerned, well, JJ said it on my show last week. The expectation for this pitching staff is for them to be one of the 10 best in Major League Baseball. And I think the expectation for the fan base, as it's currently constructed, where you do have a guy like Ryan Bergert and Stephen Kolek that could be called upon when and if an injury befalls one of these starting five in the rotation. And when you look at the back end of the bullpen with Estevez, Urseg, and Matt Strahm, not only do you feel like you should have one of the 10 best pitching staffs in Major League Baseball, you feel like you should have the best in the division. And if you have the best in the division, you're likely going to come away as division champs. Now, what hurt this team last year was, yes, injuries to that pitching, and that's going to be the great equalizer, as it always is for everybody outside of Los Angeles. But what hurt this team, in my opinion, and it was very evident very early, some even saw it back in spring, defense, base running, what this organization has prided itself on for the past 3, 4, maybe it's in entire existence. Defense, pitching, and base running. The defense was, sure, strong on the left side of the infield, no doubt. And Vinny wasn't bad at first base, but you had guys in left field learning the position at the big league level. Jack Caglione doing the same in right. The additions of Isaac Collins and Lane Thomas make you better defensively, and they make you better on the base path. So when you can improve in those two areas, and you already have an infield that is basically set with stars and Salvi, Jensen, Vinny, Bobby, and Michael, I'm not looking to the outfield and saying, you need to be the reason why this team gets over the hump. No, it's still about those infield names I just mentioned, this great pitching staff, and sure, Carter and Cags, your top picks, those guys need to flourish if you're going to walk away with the American League Central title. But the additions this offseason, to me, it was just about returning to form. It was about bringing players in that do what you must do in Kansas City if you're going to win, and that is take the extra 90 feet, and every routine play defensively needs to be made, and occasionally I need to see the spectacular. Collins and Thomas are capable.
Yeah, and you talk about Isaac Collins. That's kind of where I wanted this conversation to go next, because, and maybe I'm being too glass half full in my approach towards him, but looking at his numbers, looking at the outfield spray of his hits from a season ago, I really like his fit for this Kansas City Royals team. He's not a guy that's going to hit a tremendous number of home runs. He will likely hit more this year at Kauffman with the new dimensions, but it's a double and triple ballpark, and even with the outfield walls coming in, it will still be some of that. With his speed, he looks to me like a guy coming from Milwaukee to Kansas City, a guy that could hit 35 plus doubles in this offense, and a guy capable of exploding for a 275, 280 sort of season and solidifying himself in left field. Am I being far too optimistic in that approach, or is this something that could be tangible for the Royals moving forward?
Yeah, no, I think you look at the ceiling, and he's a guy that isn't going to lead the way like Michael, Bobby, Cags, and Carter, but when it's all said and done, he could be a part of that group for the next 5 years. He could be a core piece, again, because he does the little things, right? He more than the little things. The guy gets on base. He has terrific range, can play multiple outfield positions, came up as a second baseman, so could be a true utility guy. Although, to me, when I look at left field and center field, it's Izzy, Lane Thomas, and Isaac Collins. The two bats that are going best, those are the two guys that are going to play just about every single day. Now, if that means Izzy plays less, so be it. Lane Thomas can fly. He can go get it in center field. And we talk about the versatility of Isaac Collins. The only thing that gives me pause, it has nothing to do with him. As a fantasy baseball player, man, I fell in love with Collins last summer. He was outstanding with Milwaukee, and all of my friends that are still up there as Brewers fans, they loved the kid. The thing that gives me pause is why Milwaukee's willing to wave goodbye for 2 years of Angel Zerpa, a guy that, sure, has shown flashes in the past. And Milwaukee has an outstanding pitching department, and maybe they can get Zerpa to become the pitcher that he never truly was able to consistently be here in Kansas City. My utmost respect for that Milwaukee front office is the only thing that gives me slight pause. Although, as I say that, J.J. Piccolo's track record speaks for itself as well since he's taken over. No, I'm a fan of Collins. I'm a fan of Lane Thomas. I understand some on the outside, or some diehard Royals fans even, are anything but overjoyed by the offseason. Two guys that most people have never heard of in Thomas and Collins. I get that. All sports fans want their team to go get players that they know and have already become fans of. But when you look at this Royals offense, you're not bringing in anybody better than Bobby. You're not going to bring anybody better than Michael or Vinny. You're not going to bring somebody in with a ceiling as high as Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen, and obviously you're not going to bring in a surefire Hall of Famer like Salvador Perez. So to think that this offseason was going to feature the Royals acquiring a bat that was going to release some of the burden from Cags or Carter or a 36-year-old Salvador Perez, That was always pretty pie in the sky. Now, you could look towards the trade deadline. That might be a little easier to maneuver for this front office. But the expectations of a major splash, even though deep down, I wanted to see it happen. I wanted to see this organization sell the farm to go bring in that difference-making bat that could move Salvi and Kaggs and Carter down in the lineup. But thus far, it's yet to materialize, and I'll be surprised if it does.
Talking about this Royals baseball team and gearing up for the regular season, we saw yesterday Bobby Witt Jr., no surprise for anybody, at least that's the way it should be, that he was voted as the best shortstop in baseball. MLB Network did their top 100 players. Bobby was at number 3. This is a guy who is going to be a perennial MVP candidate, even was last year, despite what you could more or less call a down year. With the new dimensions of Kauffman Stadium, what should an expectation for Bobby Witt Jr. be this year at the plate? Is this the year where he can finally firmly put himself into an MVP conversation and maybe walk away with that hardware?
Yeah, to me, he has been, and you know this, he has been in the conversation. He's just fallen short to the modern-day Babe Ruth and modern-day Barry Bonds, I should say, and Aaron Judge. And then last year, the freak in Cal Raleigh and a catcher hitting 60 home runs. Yeah, it's a pretty high bar for Bob year in and year out. I think the expectation every single season is for him to finish top 5 in the MVP. You allude to last year as a down offensive season, and I'm not going to fight you, but that just goes to show you the impact that he makes defensively, the impact that he makes on the base paths. When you dive into WAR, you look at those cumulative numbers. He's still impacting the game as much as anybody, maybe outside of Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and last year, Cal Raleigh. So to me, he's been in those MVP conversations. What's hindered him, in my mind, is they're not winning their division, right? Aaron Judge wins an MVP. His team goes to the postseason. His team wins the division 2 years ago. Stephen Vogt wins Manager of the Year for the past 2 seasons. His team wins the division. This World Baseball Classic could be big for Bob. If he goes out and does what we all know he's capable of doing, and that is be the best player on the field. Even though he's sharing a field with Raleigh and Ohtani and Aaron Judge, would you be surprised if, when it's all said and done, Bobby Witt Jr. is the MVP of the World Baseball Classic? I wouldn't be. And if that happens, if he's able to burst onto the national scene, which he's yet to do, right? Didn't do it against the Yankees in the ALDS. I don't think people were really glued to the TV in the afternoon to watch him face the Orioles in the wild card game. So, this World Baseball Classic could be quite the launching pad for Bobby Witt Jr. and that MVP run.
Last question I've got for you, Vern, and this is one I talked about it a lot yesterday. I am as much of an anti-arbitration person in Major League Baseball as you're going to find. I think that it is an ugly scenario that just pits a team against a player, and it's a mudslinging contest. And, Vinny since deleted the tweet, but he was talking about the new dimensions at Kauffman and then said something to the effect of he's about to walk into court and hear how much he sucks. It sounds like he's out asking for 4.5. The Royals are asking for 4. What do you think of this situation? Is it really worth the sticking point of $500,000 for these two groups to walk into an arbitration setting and the Royals have to talk about why they don't believe Vinny is worth the amount of money that he's asking for?
No, it's not ideal, but this was collectively bargained between the players and the owners. So, Vinny and his union had a say in all of this. It'd be great if they could meet in the middle, and they had opportunities to do just that. But they were unable to come together, and now that they filed, they're going to go in front of that in front of those arbiters and make the case. But this happens to everyone in quite a few fields. Certainly, the money's different in Major League Baseball, but that moment where I know it happens in this job where. Man, you get into it, and it's just the dream. This is what I've always wanted to do, and at some point, the business is going to slap you in the face, and that's going to happen coming up in a few weeks for Vinny Pasquantino, but he needs to rise above it. I think the desire to put up big numbers last year because of pending arbitration, I think that hindered his start to the season. Now, because he's so freaking good. He was able to rebound in a major way and just dominated from the beginning of May until the end of the season. So, hopefully whatever is said, they've said enough good things to him in the previous 7 years that they've known Vinny Pasquantino, that he's able to move on, go out there and continue to produce, because yes, he's going to go through this again next year and then the year after that, unless they're able to work out some sort of long-term extension, which I don't see. If you're going to do anything with Vinny, for as much as I love him, I'll eat up those arbitration years, but I don't know how interested I am right now in signing you to your age 30 and 31 season. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's the business, and both sides need to rise above it for the greater good.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, this has got to be a situation where, even if cooler heads can't prevail, you kind of have to flush it and do what you can, because this is a Royals baseball team that does have some promise in front of it. And if they are successful, Vinny Pasquantino is going to play a major part in that. Vern, appreciate you taking the time. Tell us a little bit about the Royals rally that you've got going on tomorrow. Who are some of the players, front office members you're going to be talking with, and what's the discussion going to be mostly about?
Well, J.J. Piccolo's going to stop by. Your boy, Isaac Collins, scheduled to really introduce himself to Royals fans everywhere. I have a lot that I want to know and dig into when it comes to Isaac Collins, who, by the way, was the first Minnesotan to be Mr. Minnesota in football and baseball, the first since Joe Mauer. So excited to talk with him. Seth Lugo getting ready for the World Baseball Classic. He's scheduled to stop by. Noah Cameron, St. Joseph's finest, is scheduled to stop by, and a few other surprises. You're not going to want to miss it. 9 to noon tomorrow morning on 96.5 The Fan. Thanks, Logan.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vern. Appreciate you taking the time. Of course, that is our Royals insider, Josh Vernier, joining us, talking a little Isaac Collins, a little Bobby Witt Jr., a little bit about Vinny's arbitration hearing that's coming up. I absolutely despise the fact that has to happen. The mudslinging that will incur during that is just, it never seems to work out particularly well. But one of the things that we spent the most time talking about was, of course, Bobby Witt Jr. and his success that he's had over the last 3 years, for that matter. You could really argue 4 years, dating back to his rookie season. The, most recent news surrounding Bobby is that, of course, MLB.com came out with their top 10 players at each position, and surprise, surprise, Bobby Witt Jr. was listed as the best shortstop in Major League Baseball. Nobody else should be particularly close. I still cannot believe the days of people trying to put Gunnar Henderson above Bobby on some of these lists. He doesn't get on base nearly as much as Bobby does. He drives in a similar number of runs. Yeah, he might hit more home runs, but his glove is not the same. He doesn't steal bases. Bobby is, I would argue, maybe the best all-around position player in baseball. Right? Aaron Judge gets above him on the MLB's top 100 list, because Aaron Judge hits home runs and drives in runs unlike anybody we've maybe seen in the 21st century, right? I mean, not since the days of Barry Bonds hitting 60-plus 73 home runs in a single season, with regularity. And yeah, he's behind Shohei Ohtani, because Shohei Ohtani is a top 5 hitter in baseball, and he's also a phenomenal pitcher at the same time, doing things that we've never seen. Should it have been any surprise to anyone that Bobby Witt Jr. is the number 1 shortstop in baseball? Is that worthy of a major news story that's floating around America right now? Oh, Bobby Witt Jr., number 1 shortstop in Major League Baseball. Kind of feels like a yeah, duh sort of situation.
I'd agree it's yeah, duh. But I think Vern said something interesting there about, Bobby versus an Aaron Judge or a Shohei or even a Cal Raleigh. Bobby hasn't had that moment to jump on the national landscape. Yes, Bobby is the best player at his position in baseball. Bobby might be the best player under 25 years old in baseball right now. You can easily make those arguments. But we understand in sports how stardom works. It's not just I produce on the field. There's so much more to it. he's not a guy who's overly marketed. I believe he's on the Community America spots, only thing I know. But he hasn't had that, I was on ESPN and did this moment. I was in the postseason and did that moment. Cal Raleigh didn't have a singular moment, but he hit 60 home runs as a catcher. Like, that's not a thing that happens. And he has the funny nickname, and he was on McAfee all the time. Like, he kind of raised his profile. Aaron Judge is because of New York. Shohei Ohtani is because he's Babe Ruth. Like, Bobby hasn't had that moment. Even in the Orioles series, the Royals won the series. I don't think he played poorly. He didn't play great. He also didn't wow in the Yankee series. I mean, again, not bad, but it wasn't ooh. He didn't carry this team by himself to a postseason last year. Last year was a down season. For Bobby to raise his profile and go from everyone in Kansas City knows he might be the best player in baseball to suddenly people in Seattle, Detroit, Cleveland, Miami, not Miami, they don't have baseball fans, Texas, whomever, to say the same thing about Bobby, I think presents that. If they're going to go back to the postseason, that presents that. But right now, I think even though he's the best shortstop in baseball, and it is a dumb moment, I think he might be one of the best kept secrets in baseball because he hasn't had that national spotlight, watch me work kind of thing yet.
Yeah, and especially in a market like Kansas City. You're exactly right. I mean, Aaron Judge doing what he's doing was going to raise the attention or grab the attention of baseball fans across America anyway, but him doing it in the pinstripes as a New York Yankee just explodes the market value of somebody like that, you know? And one of the things I think of, and somebody in the text line brought it up, you know, what would Bobby's profile look like had he won that home run derby a couple of years ago? Right? I think about that as a chance for him to raise his profile, win a home run derby, become the All-Star Game MVP. You're exactly right. The World Baseball Classic. I have some fear about the World Baseball Classic because, you know, Aaron Judge is competing. He's the captain of the U.S. team in the World Baseball Classic. Could he be overshadowed by, by the Judge? That's certainly a factor in it. When you're in a market like Kansas City, you have to do things that raise your profile beyond this small market that you're associated with, right? For George Brett, it was winning the 85 World Series. It was the Pine Tar incident. It was nearly hitting 400 in a year. There were things that George Brett did that grabbed the attention of the baseball world. Bobby does that in spurts, but he hasn't had like that. That's one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen kind of moments that I believe he's fully capable of. No question about it. He's a phenomenal baseball player. He's a top 5 player in baseball, without question. I agree with the sentiment of him being the 3rd best player in baseball. It's about those wow moments. It's those things that are going to get replayed on, and this will, I guess, date me for some of the younger generational kids.
You're gonna say Web Gym?
I was gonna say, yeah. What's gonna get you on Baseball Tonight? What's gonna get you on Sports Center? As if people are just tuned to their televisions watching that anymore. What's gonna get you on social media, right? What's gonna get you millions of views from MLB's tweet or something about a play that you made? Those are the sorts of things that I could definitely see raising the profile of Bobby Witt Jr.
I think this text is interesting from the text line. 913-586-7965. I don't really care about winning MVP. It's meaningless to me as a fan. The team just needs to win. Just win, Bobby. That's all that matters. Can't he do both? Because I think if Bobby becomes the the can't get him off the TV, he's so great, he's everywhere player, the Royals are probably winning. Like, one of the things where Patrick Mahomes' profile raised because the team was winning, he was playing great, and then because of that, it lifted him up. Not that he needed lifting up, but his profile raised because of it. If next year the Royals win, I'm not projecting this, but if they win 96 games and Bobby's an MVP candidate, I think the two things are connected. They're not mutually exclusive. So I understand the texter. I don't care about MVP. I don't care about him bursting on the national scene. Just win. The thing is, if he starts winning here, he will, in fact, start bursting on the national scene. Because like Cal Raleigh last year in Seattle, people are going to say, whoa, that guy's doing that? And he's in that market? That's awesome. Yeah. I think that it's the easiest way for Bobby to burst on the scene is have an incredible season in Kansas City. Not 84 and sneak in as a 3rd wild card. I'm talking winning. So That's why I think fans should care about it, because if he starts playing at this level and starts getting noticed at this recognition level, the team is probably doing a lot more winning. You're not going 62-100 with the MVP at shortstop. That's not a thing in baseball.
No, it's the two go hand in hand with one another, right? If Bobby's playing at an MVP level and is an MVP frontrunner by chance, that's going to represent team success for the Kansas City Royals and vice versa. If the Royals are successful, I think it goes without saying that Bobby Witt Jr. is going to play a major part and maybe the biggest part in why the team is winning baseball games. I absolutely think that both of those things go hand in hand, and I'm really, really interested to see how Bobby can elevate himself with the new dimensions to the ballpark. Right? It's the numbers are all over the place. I've seen publications say that Bobby could hit 8 to 10 more home runs a year with the new dimensions. I've seen others that are like he could hit maybe 2 more home runs with the walls being moved in. No matter what, we all know how great Bobby Witt Jr. is. It's just a matter of when is he finally, because there have been moments, spurts where he's broken through on the national stage. And somebody in the text line brought it up earlier. Like, how wild is it that Bobby Witt Jr. had arguably the greatest single season by a shortstop in the history of baseball, and a year later, people aren't talking about him as much? But when you've got catchers hitting 60 home runs in a season, and you've got the best home run hitter of this generation in the same league as you, it's unfortunate that you're going to get kind of overlooked to a certain extent. It's a poor situation for Bobby Witt Jr. If this was 2005 instead of 2025, Bobby Witt Jr. might have an MVP by now. But this is the day and age that we are residing in now. 913-586-7965 is our number. Logan Weber here on the show today, filling in for Carrington. Rob producing the show, doing a great job as always. Another big thank you to Josh Vernier for joining us earlier, as well as Seth Greenberg from ESPN's College Game Day, talking a little KU BYU tomorrow. How about some Minnesota Vikings news? They fired the general manager, and some people are surprised by this move. I frankly am not. The writing was seemingly on the wall for this for a while. Let's talk about that next, right here on The Drive, 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
J. Rieger & Co. Oh, so good. Quality crafted in Kansas City. J. Rieger & Co. Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Winner of Best Craft Bourbon at the 2025 Ascot Awards. At 90 proof, it's rich, well-balanced, and oh, so good. Quality crafted in Kansas City.
A KFC tale in the pursuit of flavor. The Colonel despised the word empty. Empty plates, empty tables, empty stomachs. That's why he made the KFC $5 bowls, like the famous bowl. Creamy mashed potatoes, crispy chicken, corn, gravy, and cheese. Because the only empty the Colonel liked was when you reached the bottom of that bowl. The Colonel lived, so we could chicken. 5 KFC bowls for just $5 each.
Prices and participation may vary. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder. Now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
And Doug.
Oh, what a horrible call. Hey, ref, open your eyes! Ref, you're really not gonna call that? Come on!
Hey, ref, why don't you customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual and save money?
I don't think you get what we're doing.
Sure I do. We're all just giving him advice. You guys on sports, me on saving money.
Nope, that's not it.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Yes. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your nature-made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
Good news, the crash 435 at Metcalf is cleared, but still dealing with a stall that'll slow you down. 435 eastbound at Warnall, left lane is blocked. Also, the crash 435 northbound at Shawnee Mission Parkway is in the right lane. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
The only place in town to hear the hypothetical button game is on The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
After 4 seasons and a mixed bag of decisions, the Minnesota Vikings have fired their general manager, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. And it seems like via social media, some people are surprised about this news, others are not. The only thing I'm surprised about is that they waited this long into the offseason to make a decision of this magnitude. They've already said that the search for a general manager will occur after the NFL draft in April. They have decided to elevate Rob Brzezinski, who is their executive vice president of football ops, to be the interim general manager and lead the front office through the draft process. You know, Mensah made some great decisions during his time with the Minnesota Vikings, but he also made some, I think, catastrophic errors on his part. The one that obviously comes to mind first is, well, you brought in Sam Darnold, you paired him with Kevin O'Connell, revitalized his career, and then you let him walk. Why? Well, because you drafted J.J. McCarthy with the 10th overall pick and decided he was your guy. Well, it's hard not to look at him and say, well, you made a mistake because we had a down year. J.J. McCarthy continues to have injury issues. When he was healthy, he didn't play well. And Sam Darnold is quarterbacking the Seattle Seahawks to a Super Bowl. And they're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. That's not a good look in and of itself, right? Before I get into the draft havoc of Adolfo-Mensah's tenure with the Vikings, how about another, I guess, underlooked decision or lack thereof? How about letting Danielle Hunter walk and go to the Houston Texans? Because he's continued to play outstanding football in Houston. I think Danielle Hunter might be one of the most underrated edge rushers in football. Him and Will Anderson there in Houston have formed one of the best duos at getting to the quarterback in the National Football League. And Minnesota said, yeah, you know what? We'd love to keep you, but we'll just kind of let you go. You then get into the drafting for Adofo-Mensah, and it is not pretty. Since 2022, these are just some of the picks. Okay, in the first round of that 2022 draft, they took Louis Sign. Didn't know that guy was even a first-round pick. He's played in 11 career games. He wasn't in the league this year. You drafted that guy in the third round. He is out of the league now. Andrew Booth, also not on an NFL team this past year. Ed Ingram, who has played in 62 career games. All right. All well and good there. Outside of that, there's nobody in that draft class. 2023, you took Jordan Addison in the first round. When he's on the field, he's okay. But off the field, the kid's become a headache. Mekhi Blackman, 32 career games he's played in. He's got 3 picks. 2024, you took J.J. McCarthy in the first round, 10th overall, and then 7 picks later, you went with Dallas Turner with the 17th overall pick. J.J. McCarthy, through 2 seasons, has played in 10 games. He's got 11 touchdowns to 12 picks. Yikes. And then Dallas Turner has 11 sacks in 33 career games for the 17th overall pick. And then in the 2025 class, Donovan Jackson, I'm going to reserve judgment. Jury's still out. He just completed his rookie year. We'll have to see. Ty Felton in the third round, who had 3 catches this year. That's it. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, I have no idea who that is. And Kobe King. So, your best free agent signing, Sam Darnold, you let walk after 1 year. The best player on your team, you let walk away in free agency. And you have been much more of a miss than a hit via the draft. Sorry, it's hard not to picture why you're out of a job. And if you're the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell is better at his job than Adofo-Mensah is, without question. You chose your head coach over your general manager. Simple as that. Not the only news story floating around today that involves the Minnesota Vikings, I guess you could say. Reports circulating that the Atlanta Falcons are likely to release quarterback Kirk Cousins. Absolutely should. When you look at the contract that Kirk Cousins had, it is absolutely ridiculous. He's got an out in his contract this offseason. If they didn't take it, he would be due $24.6 million in terms of a total cap hit next year. And then you hit the 2027 season with a base salary of $67.9 million, a $12.5 million signing bonus, and a $10 million roster bonus. Total cap hit of $90.4 million for 39-year-old Kirk Cousins. So, if that is what happens and Kirk Cousins is released from his contract in Atlanta, they're saying right now it'll be, according to The Athletic, it'll be in March that they'll do that. Should the Chiefs be looking at Kirk Cousins potentially as the backup quarterback? If he wants it, if he's not super expensive. And I have to say, I love that idea. It's hard to fall in love with a backup quarterback option, if we're being honest, especially when your starter is Patrick Mahomes. But you may need a backup quarterback, through the first week or weeks of the regular season, depending on Mahomes' rehab. Kirk Cousins fits the bill of what Andy Reid wants in a backup quarterback to a T. He wants veteran guys that have experience, not just on an NFL team, but as a starter in this league, a la, Chad Henne and Matt Moore and Carson Wentz. And this past season, it was Gardner Minshew. Is Kirk Cousins probably going to be too expensive an option for a backup quarterback in Kansas City? Yeah, he absolutely is. And Kirk might still be looking for an opportunity to be a starter, although I think that time has passed him by. I think Kirk Cousins could do really, really well, be extremely successful as a backup quarterback for the Chiefs. You know, possibly starting the first game or couple of games next year to get the ball rolling for the Chiefs with the best head coach he's ever worked for, solid weapons around him, depending on what happens at the running back position, and if Trav decides to come back. I like the idea. Maybe there's others that disagree, but when I look at this free agent class of quarterbacks, nobody else really excites me that falls under that same level of viable backup quarterback options. Like the only other one that really stood out to me was like, oh, you bring in a young Zach Wilson and you try to turn him around. And if he plays well in Mahomes' absence, then maybe you can try to use him in terms of trade bait, but then you don't have a backup quarterback if you were to do that. So I don't know. Kirk Cousins makes sense as a viable backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I would love Kirk Cousins as a backup in Kansas City. I think he'd be perfect because he's the kind of guy where I know Mahomes is aiming to be back for week 1, but let's just pretend he's not ready for week 1. You can easily win games with Kirk Cousins, and he's a veteran. The Chiefs target veterans. He's made a lot of money in his career. I don't know he's going to be very expensive. I don't know he's going to be coveted on the market that much. My one question with Kirk Cousins will be, does he still think he's a starter somewhere? Because it's a down quarterback draft. It's Mendoza and a bunch of guys you wouldn't take in the first round. Maybe Ty Simpson ends up as a first rounder. I don't know.
It would have to be, for my money, it would have to be late. Like 25 or later.
I'm not a big Ty Simpson fan.
I'm not either.
So, the fact that there's a lot of quarterback deficient teams and there's not a lot of quarterbacks in the draft, does Kirk and his agent go around to, say, a Pittsburgh or a Cleveland or New York,
the Jets,
or, wherever have you, and say, wherever it is, and you say, maybe Minnesota, honestly, because he would fit, and say, I want to compete for the starting job, which if you want to go compete for a starting job, that job is not available in Kansas City. It just isn't. I like him as a backup quarterback option, but I don't know he views himself as a backup quarterback option.
No, I don't think so. I think he probably should at this point in his career. He's 37 years old. Like, Kirk, come on, man. You were just on the desk. You were just a panelist on the CBS Sports AFC Championship game. Come on, Kirk. Who are we fooling at this point? You're not doing that if you're still considering yourself an upper echelon quarterback in this league. Neither here nor there. Somebody said Mahomes will be back week 1, period. I applaud your confidence. I have to say I have to have a little bit more reservation than that.
We don't love that. You can't just plan for that. You can't have whoever the version of Matt Moore in 26 is and just say he's our backup because we got Patrick Mahomes. It's also possible he comes back in week 1 and is rusty. There's a lot of variables when you come back from a major injury the way Mahomes is going to have to.
Yeah, this might be the most important backup quarterback decision Andy Reid has made since he drafted Patrick Mahomes to be Alex Smith's backup for a single year. Mahomes may be forced to miss some time here. And I love me some Gardner Minshew. He's an entertaining guy, fun to be around. He's an interesting interview. He's not a viable backup quarterback option if Mahomes is going to miss extended time next year. Not when you're trying to bounce back from a 6-11 season that disappointed the entire fan base. The Drive here on 96.5 The Fan. Logan Weber filling in for C-Dot. Rob doing a great job producing the show as always. College basketball this weekend. We talked with Seth Greenberg about KU, BYU, that massive matchup, but K-State's in action this weekend, trying to hold on for dear life is Jerome Tang in Manhattan. And Mizzou trying to build something of a resume when they're sitting firmly on the bubble in March Madness. We'll discuss that next here on 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison and Rob Brenton.
You losers! It's what you are!
On your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Sadly, football season is coming to a close, but it's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to place your bets before the NFL season closes its tab. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're in on it. If you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $200 bonus bets if you win. So whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, make it count. Because after the Super Bowl, the season's over and football is done. Last call for football on FanDuel. #21 in President, Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
A KFC tale in the pursuit of flavor. The Colonel despised the word empty. Empty plates, empty tables, empty stomachs. That's why he made the KFC $5 bowls, like the famous bowl. Creamy mashed potatoes, crispy chicken, corn, gravy, and cheese. Because the only empty the Colonel liked was when you reached the bottom of that bowl. The Colonel lived so we could chicken. 5 KFC bowls for just $5 each.
Prices and participation may vary. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder. Now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, football fans, picture this. You bet on your favorite player in the big game to score the first touchdown, but his teammate scores instead. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second instead. That's right. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the big game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. BetMGM. Make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. Must be 21 years of age or older. This promotional offer not available in Mississippi, Ontario, Pennsylvania, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements, rewards paid back in unrestricted withdrawable funds. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
Two-car crash now to watch for up north, 435 northbound at 210 Highway. It is the right lane blocked. Still working with the stall, 435 eastbound. It's the on-ramp from Holmes. Be prepared to tap your brakes through there. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
Follow the station on Instagram at TheFan965 for giveaways and behind-the-scenes content.
Rob, I just received a fantastic idea from the text line. Somebody just said, Logan, I would rather have you with Rob as your backup out there than Zach Wilson. What do you think? Think we could spin it out there at Arrowhead? Huh?
You don't want to see me throw it. Well, I think it was it on New Heights? I think it was New Heights. Maybe it wasn't New Heights. Someone has asked Patrick Mahomes, do you think an average person could complete a pass in an NFL game? And he said no. By the way, he didn't say like deep pass, get a first down. He said they could not complete a pass in the NFL. And by the way, I know for a fact I can't.
Listen, I consider myself a pretty decent athlete, all right? I have some athleticism to me. I'm more of a basketball guy personally. I am 5'9", okay? I weigh 150 pounds. I wouldn't be able to see over the offensive line, for that matter, let alone be able to compete a pass at that level. Not going to go well for me by any stretch. I mean, at least, Rob, you got height. I mean, you might be able to see some receivers open. Maybe get me in like a little bubble screen to somebody. All I got to do just an RPO. Like all I got to do is snap the football, turn, and throw it across the line of scrimmage. I could probably complete that pass.
I'm not saying that thought hasn't crossed my mind. I'm here to tell you, I don't think the average fan has any idea how fast these big people are moving, and everyone's like, oh, it's a 1 yard pass. It's a 1 yard from the line of scrimmage, but you're back 7 yards in the shotgun. And then it's not like you can throw a lollipop like you did in middle school to your best friend who's open down the field. If this thing isn't crisp and perfect, let me tell you something. The other NFL players are about to have a field day, or it's a hospital ball and your wide receiver hates you.
Or you end up in a hospital. Like, I can imagine, put me in there at quarterback against the friggin' Raiders or somebody, and I got Max Crosby staring at me pre-snap. That is an immediate self-protection situation there. Snap the ball, drop to a knee. Just turn to the official, blow the whistle. That's all I got for you. So you are Diego Pavia. I mean, no, I'm not even Diego Pavia. Sure, I could complete a shuffle pass if I could catch the snap.
That's another part of this. Like Creed Humphrey, for the example, he's not shooting it back to you the same way your high school guy was. He's got some velocity to that thing.
Somebody said I'm 6'3", 235, pretty athletic still, can almost dunk, and I go to the gym. Do you think I could complete a pass?
Patrick Mahomes says no. I'm just telling you what the best quarterback in the NFL, or one of the best, you want to have him at 2 or 3, whatever, said on a podcast. And I wish I knew which podcast, but he said no, they can't complete a pass.
Could the average fan catch a pass?
Even less chance.
You got a better shot at completing one. First of all, that thing's coming at you Mach 10. All right? Most of these guys, most of these quarterbacks played baseball too, and we're hawking low to mid 90s with a baseball. So it's coming at you with some speed. And not to mention the fact, you have to get open to catch that pass. You're not athletic enough to beat a NFL defensive back one-on-one, get yourself open enough to catch that football. And then probably have to absorb a hit when you do catch it and hold on to that thing. No shot. Was that a Little Giants reference? Yeah, you bet it was. You bet it was. Big-time college basketball coming up this weekend. We talked with Seth Greenberg earlier about this KU-BYU game. Fascinating matchup. AJ Debinsa, Darren Peterson, the presumptive top 2 picks in this year's NBA draft. But it's not just KU that is in action locally this weekend. Looking across the other Saturday game that we've got, Mizzou taking on Mississippi State. They're back at home in Columbia. Mizzou is in a weird situation right now. At 14-7, you look at that record on paper and you're like, yeah, that's a bubble team that you would. But it's hard to say they're a bubble team when you look at their non-conference schedule. They didn't beat anybody. You know, they beat a bad Minnesota team this year. And credit to Mizzou fans. You know, I'll be the first to say, Minnesota, I'm not going to disparage that as a bad win because I had to watch my Iowa Hawkeyes go to Minnesota and lose to that same Golden Gophers team. So good on you. But you had an opportunity at Notre Dame and you lost. You had an opportunity at home against Kansas. You got blown out. Had an opportunity against Illinois. You got blown out. Your non-conference schedule is probably the weakest of any team in high major college basketball right now. The SEC is where you're going to have to make your hay here if you want to get in. You're sitting at 4-4 right now. Mississippi State tomorrow is not going to move the needle if you win the game. But you have to win because if you lose that game, that is going to be a huge extra nail in your coffin if you miss out on the NCAA tournament in March. There's still opportunities on their schedule, right? You've got Vanderbilt at home later on in the month of February. You've got the home and home against Arkansas where you could potentially make a statement. You know, Tennessee, who's in the top half of the league as it sits right now, is an opportunity. And how about the fact that Texas A&M is the number one? I mean, they're the top of the conference right now. Texas A&M is 6-1 in the league. They're 16-4 overall. Can somebody explain to me why they're not ranked? Why are the Aggies not ranked in the top 25 right now? You've got them on the road coming up in a couple of weeks on February 11th. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility, but you got to turn it on right here, right now. And I can't help but continue to have this fear with Dennis Gates that the guy's an excellent recruiter. That has more than been proven. He's great in the transfer portal. He attacks the high school ranks really well, bringing in a top 5 recruiting class and all the things. But he feels like more of a Frank Haith in a lot of ways. Like, excellent recruiter, but the X's and O's, there's a lot of misses there. In terms of once they bring that talent in, they don't always flourish in the system. You're probably going to have to win. They got 10 games left. I think you probably have to win 7 of your last 10 in the regular season here. You're 21-10, and then win a game or 2 in the SEC tournament to get in.
They need to be above 500 in league play to have a chance.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if they go, they're sub 500 in the SEC, but their wins start piling up. They already have the Florida win. If you rack up maybe a Tennessee win, like if you win some quality games, maybe you can be sub 500 in the league. But I mean, you cannot be sub 500 in the SEC, play a non-con schedule of me, you, and the YMCA down the block, and expect that you're going to be a tournament team unless you make some real noise in Nashville this year. Like, Dennis Gates isn't going anywhere. He has a great recruiting class coming in next year, but it feels like I hope what Dennis Gates learns from this year, or maybe I hope he doesn't learn. As a KU fan, I don't care. But I think what he needs to learn is you can't schedule Howard and Bethune-Cookman and Arkansas Pine Bluff and UMKC and all these schools and your non-con that are in the Ken Palm 250 to 350 range and just say, look, we're winning. That doesn't move the needle. Play more teams. Like, you don't have to play Kansas or Duke. Whatever. Play Washington. Play Oregon. Play Iowa. Play a team that is at least comparable in a different league to you. There's no reason this year in non-con they couldn't have played Baylor. They're probably better than Baylor, but that's a good non-conference game that's on your schedule. You gain nothing from playing Howard. They didn't do this once. They did it 16 times.
Yeah.
Like, you got to play some people.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying you got to go. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you got to go play a team a bunch of teams out of the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the ACC. Throw some Big East teams on your schedule. Go play a St. Mary's out of the WAC or something like that, you know. Some of these, I guess you could call them quote-unquote mid-major teams, but they're kind of tweeners. They're not high-major. They're not mid-major either. Go play a DePaul or a SLU, somebody like that, you know, teams of that caliber rather than, you're right, 10 cream puff teams in your non-conference schedule. And the only teams that you play that are actually worth anything, you lose to, right? You lose to Notre Dame.
They got smoked by both teams that are of note.
Exactly. Notre Dame is not a good loss necessarily, the way I would put it in the ACC this year. And your marquee non-conference matchups with Mizzou or with KU and with Illinois, you lost by an average of 35 points. Not going to get the job done for you. Wow.
Little force of habit there.
Freudian slip. No, this is not after hours. This is the drive. Dear God. Logan Weber filling in for Carrington Harrison here. I mean, we do have after hours tonight. Bink's already here in the bullpen, getting himself geared up and ready to go for the show. Logan Weber alongside Rob Brenton here on the program. Coming up, we have much more to discuss. We'll get back into some Isaac Collins conversation because I am a little bit more bullish on him than maybe some others are. We had a chance to sit down with Vern a little bit earlier to discuss him, as well as Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator of this Chiefs team, rumors around our new running backs coach. Are we in danger of the same old echo chamber in that building for the Chiefs moving forward? That's next here on After. Oh, my goodness, I did it again on The Drive. 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
Two-car crash now to watch for up north, 435 northbound at 210 Highway. It is the right lane blocked. Still working with the stall, 435 eastbound. It's the on-ramp from Holmes. Be prepared to tap your brakes through there. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
Hey, folks, it's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here. Many men remember their first time. Not that first time. I'm talking about the first time that erectile dysfunction ruined that special moment. And if you're over 50, then the chances are then you've experienced this before. That first time can be frustrating. It can be a little bit embarrassing. But here's the good news. At Heartland Men's Health, that first time can also be the last time. Heartland Men's Health specializes in treating ED when the pills and herbals fail. With a success rate of over 90%, many men see results just after one visit. So your first visit is just $99, which includes a consult, lab work, and if medically advised, you get a test dose. And if it doesn't work right there in the office, then your visit is on the house. So don't let ED define your sex life. Call my friends at Heartland Men's Health today at 844-447-6600 or check out the website, heartlandmenshealth.com today. You can also stop by and visit any of the 3 area locations, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City. Be sure to stop by Heartland Men's Health.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder, now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel? I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
The Chiefs offseason show with Bob, Dusty, Cody, Alex, and CDOT is Tuesday, February 10th, starting at 9 a.m. right here on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC, FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
It definitely seems like a mixed reaction among Royals fans about how the front office handled the offseason. Some that are happy with how it all played out, but maybe a little underwhelmed, and those who are disappointed. You know, I think many were hoping for this big-name outfield bat that was going to come in and change things, you know, a la Sharon Duran or a Brendan Donovan. And the Royals seemingly tried. It's just the asking price on those things were too high. But the Royals did quietly make that move with the Milwaukee Brewers, bringing in Isaac Collins, who finished 4th in the NL Rookie of the Year voting last year with the Brewers, as well as Nick Mears, a sort of under-the-radar relief pitcher for Angel Serpa, which kind of shocked, I think, a lot of people. And at first I was like, is there something that the Brewers know that we don't? But I've sort of gotten away from that. And in the last week or so, I've gotten more into the numbers of Isaac Collins. And I have to say, I am more optimistic seemingly by the day when I look at what he did last year with Milwaukee and what he can do for the Royals moving forward. You know, I mean, his minor league numbers, first and foremost, will suggest that he's not a power bat. Never has been, right? He hit 14 home runs in AAA back in 2024. It's the most he's ever hit in a season. So that's sort of out. He's not going to be a guy that hits 20, 25, 30 home runs. Not who he is, right? He's not going to drive in a ton of runs either. But the man does do a really good job of getting on base. All right. Since 2021, he has drawn at least 55 walks every single year, including last year in Milwaukee. The guy walked 57 times. He's got a career 370 or close to 370 on base percentage between the minor leagues and his season-ish in Major League Baseball. Hit 263 last year for the Brew Crew, 368 on base percentage. He's got plus speed. That's one of his big things. He's a great glove in the outfield, and he's got great speed along the base paths. Well, great speed typically plays pretty well inside Kauffman Stadium. Even with the dimensions of the ballpark changing now, he may hit a few more home runs than you're expecting, right? He hit 9 last year for Milwaukee, and he may hit 12 or 13 this year, right? That's not going to affect the bottom line all that much. But here's the thing. Even with the dimension changes, Kauffman Stadium, because of just how big the field is a hitter's dream if you're a double or triples guy. And Isaac Collins can do some of that. He can be a doubles guy. He can be a triples guy. His last year in AAA, he hit 7 triples. He only hit 3 last year for Milwaukee because it's an incredibly tough ballpark to do that in. Kauffman Stadium is still wide open for guys who hit it into the gaps for extra base hits. I think Isaac Collins can be that guy. He hit 263 last year in Milwaukee, his first experience in Major League Baseball. Don't be surprised if you see Isaac Collins hit closer to 275 or 280 for the Royals, playing half his games at home at Kauffman Stadium, and notch much more than the 22 doubles he hit a season ago for the Milwaukee Brewers. Hit maybe closer to 30 doubles. It's a much more friendly ballpark for that than what they've got going on in Milwaukee. If he averages that at 370 on base percentage, I think that's great. I anticipate a little bit better from Jonathan India this season as well. You know, I'm not expecting him to all of a sudden hit 270, 280. That's not at all what I'm asking for. Somebody in the text line said it's what he did in the last few months of the season. He's absolutely sucked down the stretch. Not saying that's going to transfer. Just a note. That's fair. You know, it's a rookie. And, you know, he kind of fumbled at the end of the year, but he burst onto the scene and did enough, even despite the late season struggles, to put himself 4th in the overall NL Rookie of the Year voting.
I think two things can be true at once about Isaac Collins. Because I got this text. Anyone happy with the Royals' offseason this year or last year are just homers who refuse to hold Sherman accountable. I can't speak for every show. This show was not elated with last year's offseason. We felt like it wasn't enough, and that is played out. I mean, we weren't unhappy with it. This year, I feel like we keep waiting on the next big thing. I actually agree with JJ Piccolo. I think this team has raised the floor. I don't think this team's going to bottom out and be, you know, barring massive injury, 62 and 100 if everyone's healthy, or healthy in baseball terms. I do think the floor has raised, which is a good thing. You can now expect to be competitive this year. Maybe not 100 wins competitive, but you can expect to be competitive. But I also feel like the offseason has underwhelmed because we're waiting on that next bat. And this is no disrespect to Isaac Collins, but if in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, the Royals trade Chris Bubich, or they trade Cole Reagans, or they trade Noah Cameron, and they bring in a Duran type, that type of player into the fold. It'll have to be via trade. If they sign a Teoscar Hernandez, whatever the thing is, if the Royals go out and do that, I think fans will pivot and do a 180 who are down this team. So I think Isaac Collins is in a little bit of a bad position. I think he's a good player who has a chance to be productive and good in Kansas City. But if he's the offseason move, if their offseason of, hey, we know our outfield wasn't good enough in October, and their one move was Isaac Collins, I think the expectation on him is to fix the problem. He is not the solution. He's part of a solution, but he isn't the one-man fix the way like a Cody Bellinger could be by himself. So I think if the Royals fail to make another move, Isaac Collins in a bad position because he's going to be viewed as he's the guy to fix it, and he's just not the kind of player that can fix it by himself.
I don't disagree, but I will say that I think Isaac Collins by himself is an improvement over any solution the Royals have come up with in left field in the last 5 years. I think he's a more viable option than playing Adam Frazier in left field every day would have been. As good as Adam Frazier was last year when the Royals brought him back, and I would love to see the Royals bring him back, would have loved to see the Royals give him another shot here in 2026. He couldn't have played every day in left field the way that Isaac Collins can. You know, they trotted out guys like Drew Waters, and he had played some good baseball and then fell off the face of the earth, and we never saw him in the big leagues again last year. You know, I will much rather see Isaac Collins in left field every day than what we had to endure with MJ Melendez. You know, it's an interesting dynamic. Earlier in the show, we had a chance to catch up with Josh Vernier, and I asked him, what does he think about Isaac Collins? How does he see him playing for this Royals team this year and potentially in the future?
You look at the ceiling, and he's a guy that isn't going to lead the way like Michael, Bobby, Kaggs, and Carter. But when it's all said and done, he could be a part of that group for the next 5 years. He could be a core piece, again, because he does the little things, right? He more than the little things. The guy gets on base. He has terrific range, can play multiple outfield positions, came up as a second baseman, so could be a true utility guy. Although, to me, when I look at left field and center field, it's Izzy, Lane Thomas, and Isaac Collins. The two bats that are going best, those are the two guys that are going to play just about every single day. Now, if that means Izzy plays less, so be it. Lane Thomas can fly. He can go get it in center field. And we talk about the versatility of Isaac Collins. The only thing that gives me pause, it has nothing to do with him. As a fantasy baseball player, man, I fell in love with Collins last summer. He was outstanding with Milwaukee, and all of my friends that are still up there as Brewers fans, they loved the kid. The thing that gives me pause is why Milwaukee's willing to wave goodbye for 2 years of Angel Zerpa, a guy that, sure, has shown flashes in the past.
That's a great point, right? And that's something that initially when this deal was made, I was thinking, what does Milwaukee know something that we don't? You know, or is Milwaukee in a situation where like they think that they can fix Angel Zerpa, who he's got great stuff. And when he's good, he's great. But when he's bad, he's awful. That's crazy good, crazy bad. That's who Angel Zerpa has been during his time in Kansas City. I think that Isaac Collins can give you a little bit more of a steady presence in left field, which is something that the Royals have sorely been missing. And it also gives me a little bit of a sense of maybe they are quietly showing us some confidence in who Jack Caglione can become in right field. You know, as a run producer in the outfield, maybe they think that Jack Caglione is that outfield bat for the Royals this season. You know, I can't imagine the guy's going to hit 160 again like he did a year ago. I have to believe he's going to be better than that. Otherwise, a top 10 pick of that magnitude blowing up in your face that quickly is catastrophic for the future of this Royals baseball team. Somebody in the text line said he was a 28-year-old rookie, by the way. Well, he was 27. And I think it's also fair to point out that he was a 4-year player in college who got drafted out of Creighton in 2019, or actually 2020. That was his first year of minor league baseball. That whole season got canceled. So he missed his entire first year in the minor leagues and then ended up playing parts of 4 seasons of minor league baseball, which is not completely out of the ordinary. 3 or 4 years of minor league baseball is somewhat the norm. But when you are a 4-year college guy who then has your entire first year of minor league baseball canceled because of COVID, kind of throws a wrench into things. You know, if not for the COVID pandemic, maybe he's a 25 or a 26-year-old rookie. Makes it a little bit better, I guess. You know, I don't know. 913-586-7965 is our number. More coming up here on The Drive. Logan Weber filling in for CDOT alongside Rob Brenton. Let's talk a little Eric Bieniemy. Let's talk a little Chiefs, because I have fear of an echo chamber continuing in that building for Kansas City on a day-to-day basis. That's next here on 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for K-State athletics. 96.5 The Fan.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me!
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder, now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at repairclinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon. Hello? You won't believe where I am. Are you running? Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel? I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
We've got a couple of crashes to watch for. Multi-car crash 435 northbound just before 23rd. It is the right lane blocked. A big backups. I see a lot of red in that area. 70 westbound just before 40 Highway, Blue Ridge Boulevard. You need to move to the left. It is the right lane blocked here. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Hey, it's Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome back to The Drive with C. Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It's been official for a while now. Eric Bieniemy back with the Kansas City Chiefs as the team's offensive coordinator. And it's drawn ire from both sides. People in love with this move, the disciplinarian that Eric Bieniemy has become known as, and what that could bring back to this Kansas City Chiefs team, something that I will agree they sorely need. But there's those that are kind of on the side I am, that are concerned about the problems that this Chiefs team has faced over the last few years continuing. And that has been this sense of predictability that has festered in the room of, and I'm not saying that the Chiefs, opponents know what's coming. We've heard it, right? And that's not just offensively, defensively as well, where players are talking about, oh yeah, they were calling out our plays pre-snap. They were diagnosing what we were going to do before the play even happened. That Chiefs fans there were times this year I can remember sitting in the press box and people are like, oh, here we go. This is going to be shotgun run here on second down. That's exactly what it just felt like. This team got so predictable, and that there is a fear that can continue. This somewhat of an echo chamber that has begun to surface for the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody is so close-knit in that building. Everybody has such a rapport and relationship with Andy that they know that he's the gatekeeper. He's the end-all, be-all. The decision is ultimately up to Andy Reid. And when people don't have their ideas heard because of the relationship with Andy, or don't share their ideas because of the relationship with Andy, it can force your team to become overly predictable. That is a fear that I have, and one that I think a lot of people in the fan base have. There are some good things that Eric Bieniemy can bring, right? Certainly the experiences that he has had over the last few years, going to Washington and being an offensive coordinator in his own right, has brought experiences. His time at UCLA, his time this past year, especially with the Chicago Bears. And we've heard Eric Bieniemy talk about the things that he picked up while he was not a member of the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff.
Because I've had an opportunity to learn a few things, and obviously open up my mind just to how to view things from a different point of view. And it's great. But on top of that, we got to make sure that we're getting down to what is best for us when it's all said and done with. So, yes, anybody can present an idea. But more importantly, we need to make sure, first and foremost, that we're taking a look at anything that we need to continue to improve upon or continue working with, and making sure that we're getting all the answers first with that, and then just figure out what do we need to go from there. But it's day one. We'll figure all that out at some point in time. But I will say this, I'm fired up and excited just to have this opportunity to be in the building and just having these discussions.
You know, I like some of that. The thing that I don't like is, Eric Bieniemy talking about we have to improve upon what we're already doing. We have to fix what we're already doing. Okay, but if it's not working now, who's to say if you fix it, it is going to work? Would I rather see this team just continue to do the same things that it's been doing and try to get better at it, or try something new? That's what it all comes back to with this whole echo chamber conversation. Yeah, I'm not saying that they have to completely throw away everything and create a new game plan from scratch, but what they're doing, what they've been doing over the last couple of years isn't working. And I don't know how much you need to improve upon what you're already doing in order to get it to a level where it does have a positive impact.
So the Airbnb discussion has been happening, obviously, better since it happened. Here's kind of where I stand on it. I'm pro the hire. I don't think he was the best hire. I don't think, of all the candidates available, he was the best offensive coordinator, but I think he's the right hire for the Chiefs. And I understand your fear about it becoming an echo chamber, but one thing I push back on a little bit is I know he was in Kansas City in the past, and he held this job in the past in Kansas City. But he has gone other places and picked up other ideas. And we know from Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes and Mike Dupps and Andy Reid, there is a respect factor between Bieniemy and Reid. So I feel like sometimes we act like Eric Bieniemy left Kansas City, time stood still, and now he's back. He went to Washington. I'm not saying everything went great in Washington, but maybe he saw something with their run game, the way they use Terry McLaurin, the way, they do X, Y, or Z with their run game that he can now take. He was at UCLA. Again, not a gangbusters time, but maybe it was like, hey, we do this a little bit differently. He was running back coach for Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, great offensive mind. Maybe he saw, hey, Ben Johnson's been doing this. We can implement that here. I feel like people act like Eric Bieniemy left Kansas City. He put his play sheet into a cubby, and then he left. 3 years later, he's back in Kansas City. He pulls the play sheet out of a cubby, dusts it off, and goes, great, here's a 2022 offense. Let's go. I think he is going to implement things that he has learned along the way. I think he's also going to learn. He's also smart to know, hey, what we did here in 2022 didn't work in Washington. It didn't work at UCLA. Maybe that's why it's not working here. We did this in Chicago, and we can tweak this with that. I think the idea that he's just the same guy is where people get hung up. It's possible he's grown and evolved, and there's a chance the offense grows and evolves with him, and it's not just an echo chamber of Andy saying, I think it's halfback dive, and everyone on the coaching staff just applauding. Great job, coach. You're so smart. I think there's more to it than that.
And maybe that's the biggest thing that I struggle with, is it's not even necessarily an indictment of Eric Bieniemy, right? I'm not saying that EB can't do it or that EB is a bad offensive coordinator. I don't believe that's the case, right? I mean, the guy won a Super Bowl here in Kansas City. You don't do that if you don't know what you're doing necessarily. It's that, is Eric Bieniemy the guy that can get Andy to listen, that can get Andy to kind of open things up a little bit more? Is Andy Reid going to be willing to implement some of those other ideas, things that Eric Bieniemy has picked up over the last 4 or 5 years? I believe that EB is the right hire when it comes to that discipline sort of a thing, of getting his guys to tighten things up, I wonder about the play calling, and I wonder about, was Eric Bieniemy you say he was the best option for the Chiefs? My fear is that he was the only viable option for the Chiefs, because how many other offensive coordinators or position coaches would have possibly considered this job knowing that they don't call the plays, knowing that they have a pretty limited role in terms of game planning and scripting the first 15 plays of the game and those sorts of things? Are the Chiefs limiting themselves in a way in terms of their offensive coordinator position because of the other circumstances that surround this coaching staff, with Andy Reid being so hands-on with the game planning and play calling of the offense?
Here's my other thing about the echo chamber, and I understand where you and fans are coming from. Andy is still the guy at the end of the day. But we know enough about the process over at One Arrowhead Drive. It's not everyone sits in their office and just hanging out, and then Andy walks over and goes, game plan, I got it, toss it to everyone, and then on game day, whatever Andy says goes. It is a collaborative process. And I think outside of EB, you're starting to see Reid and the coaching staff add people who are coming from different areas. Now, I don't want to overreact or sell it like, oh man, can you believe the quality control coach they got from Villanova? What a steal. But that's a guy who was coaching in college last year. I don't think he's going to come over and just sit in the office by himself waiting for Andy Reid to tell him what we're going to do. I think he's going to have some ideas. Hey, we did X, Y, and Z at Villanova. We saw it with the defensive backfield. They brought in a guy from Coastal Carolina. Hey, we did blank, blank, and blank with the defensive backfield. Like, I think Andy Reid is starting to add more voices. Now, at the end of the day, if everyone says, we're going left and Andy Reid says we're going right, he's the head coach. That's his job. But I think Andy Reid is smart enough to know, oh, you guys are all saying do this. You're saying maybe these ideas work. I'm willing to listen to them. And this idea that Andy is a dinosaur and will never change, it just missed me with that one. Because the Andy Reid offense in Philadelphia, the West Coast from 1999, and what he ran last year versus what he ran in 2015, versus what he ran in 2013, versus what he ran in 2021, I mean, there are still similar concepts and core stuff, but it's different. It's ever evolving. Remember when he first got to Kansas City, he brought in the Nevada coach. Big's probably out there listening. He knows his name, Chris something. He brought in the former Nevada coach who was the pistol expert. And all of a sudden, that season, Alex Smith, they were in the pistol a bunch. Like, Andy Reid is open to listening to outside ideas. He just works them into the framework of what he already has in his own offense. It's not, this guy says do this, good idea. It's build it into a larger group work think.
Yeah, maybe I'm just being too much of a pessimist. Maybe that's what it is. I was, and I'll admit, openly hoping for a little bit more of an outside hire. These quality control coaches and bringing in a wide receiver as an outside hire is great, but I was hoping for something a little bit more substantial in terms of, a new voice and some new ideas, new game planning at a position like the offensive coordinator spot, and that didn't happen. But you're right. He has had experiences elsewhere, and he has changed things over the course of his career. It's hard not to be a little bit fearful, though, of as innovative as he was in Philadelphia, towards the end of the time there in Philly when things weren't working, right? You start to see some of those similarities, some of those parallels line up here in Kansas City, and you kind of tighten up a little bit over it. I'm probably being far too pessimistic about the situation. Andy seems thrilled about the idea. Patrick seems thrilled about the idea. Maybe we just let this process play out a little bit more and stop being so negative.
I will agree with you on this front. I do think this is a pivotal moment for Andy Reid to evolve. I'm not saying he needs to totally change, and Tiger doesn't change his stripes, but it's time to evolve. And we've seen Andy do it before. What he ran with Alex Smith versus what he ran with Patrick Mahomes, not the same. What he ran in 2020 versus 2022, again, similarities, not the exact same. It's gotten another couple of years now. It's time to make that next evolution. I still believe Andy Reid can do it. I think he has the people in that coaching staff that can help him do it. I think he is willing to make those changes. I don't think Andy Reid fired his buddy Matt Nagy because he thought everything was awesome. I don't think he's told former player of his, Todd Pinkston, go away because he knew things were going so well. I don't think he told Connor Embry, hey, dust off the old Indeed resume because everything's gravy here. I think Andy Reid's aware of it's time to evolve, and he thinks Eric Bieniemy is the person that can help them evolve to whatever the next is. I don't know what the next iteration of the Chiefs offense is. It's usually, again, same core concepts but tweaks. I feel like Andy Reid's aware it's tweak time, which is at least for me, a positive sign. He's not just saying what we do works, we're running it back.
Yeah, no question about it. And for my money, Eric Bieniemy, the big calling card for him is going to be how this running game gets revamped. With his experience as a running back, as a running backs coach, OC coordinator, offensive coordinator in other places, a new running backs coach being brought in. It's going to be interesting to see how they revamp the running back room and what kind of impact they can make on the Chiefs moving forward. They say to quit while you're ahead. Rob, this story broke less than 20 minutes ago via ESPN. The Seattle Seahawks are going to be for sale after the Super Bowl.
That's not, I don't want to say all that surprising, but the former owner died in
2018, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul Allen.
Yeah, and his daughter has been running the team the last 6, 7, 8 years. It does not surprise me that it might be time to start looking to unload that asset now that you've run it for 6, 7, 8 years. And what do they sell? What do they say? Buy low, sell high?
Yeah.
Good time to sell high if you're the Allen family.
Yeah, you're currently in a Super Bowl. You're going to be the favorite to win that Super Bowl. If they win that Super Bowl, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it's his sister. Paul Allen's sister, Jody, has taken control of the team. They also own, the family also owns the Portland Trailblazers at the same time. Sale discussions have taken place at ownership and league levels for the last week, according to sources. It feels like the right time to do that. Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to try to sell a team after a 6-11 season or a 3-14 season, but you sell it after 14-3 and you're the 1 seed in the NFC and you're the league's representative in the Super Bowl. That sounds about right.
Now, there's a lot about the Seahawks I don't know. Do they own their own practice facility? Do they own their stadium? So this question comes from a little bit of ignorance. What do we think they're worth?
According to publications like Sportico, they're valued in the $6.6 billion range. Which is
probably sell for 8 to 10 then probably.
That's the one team executive told ESPN the Seahawks could fetch $7 to $8 billion is what they're assuming. It's the 14th most valuable team in the league according to the rankings. Sort of middle of the pack. It would break the NFL record most likely for the highest paid value of an NFL. For an NFL ownership franchise of all time. The Washington Commanders, when they were sold back in 2023, that was for $6.05 billion. I don't think that they would reach the 8-figure mark, or not 8 figures. What am I talking about? 11? Is that 11 figures?
10 billion is the number is that the?
Yeah, so that's 3, 6, 9,
12,
11. 11 figures. Oh my God, that's so much money. It's hard. I can't wrap my brain around it. The Lakers sold for $10 billion. Do we think the Seattle Seahawks outpace the Lakers for a franchise's value? Even though it is the NFL, trying to compare the Seattle Seahawks to the Los Angeles Lakers, even as popular as football is, I would say probably closer to 8 than 10. I kind of agree with that sentiment.
I also, like I said, I don't know. Owning the stadium makes an assets around it helps. For a local example, if the Hunt family tried to tomorrow sell the Chiefs, one of the things that would be knocked against them is the fact that they are renting their stadium right now, and their next one is another. I guess they get all the financial benefit from the Kansas one, but it would still be owned by the taxes by the state. So that, owning a stadium when you're a billionaire is a huge deal for selling your team. Also,
The Drive. First to breaking news in Kansas City.
This is breaking news you will like to hear, Logan. You specifically. This is from Annie Rogers over at MLB.com. Vinny Pasquantino and the Royals have avoided arbitration. They are in a new agreement on a new deal. It is a 2-year contract worth more than $11 million of guaranteed money and can max out at close to $16 million with the incentives. So Vinny Pasquantino gets in under the wire to avoid arbitration. He has now signed an agreement for a 2-year contract to avoid arbitration with the Royals.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so happy. You're right. I am extremely happy to hear that. We talked with Vern about that earlier in the show. These arbitration hearings never they never go completely well, right? Like either the team wins and the player is miffed, or the player wins and the team is miffed. It's the player's side of things trying to justify the value of the contract they're asking for, and the team then trying to poke holes in it. And Vinny said as much. I mean, right? He deleted the tweet later, but he put out a post on Twitter talking about the new dimensions at Kauffman Stadium, and like went on to like put a little parentheses quote in there. I said, like, you know, this is interesting considering I'm about to go into a court hearing and hear how much I suck. If you could avoid it, that would be fantastic. 2 years, $11 million guaranteed. So it doesn't cover the entirety of his arbitration years, you know, just this year and next year. They were saying that the teams were about $500,000 apart. Royals were at the $4 million mark. The Vinny's team was at 4.5. So I'm wondering, is this like 4.5 this year and 6.5 next year? Is it 5.5 for both? How does that work? These incentives that could push it up to $16 million. More than anything, I'm just glad that the two sides could come to an agreement. You avoid arbitration and potentially the hurt feelings that come with it from either side of it, the ownership side and front office side, or from Vinny's side. Just go out there and play ball, man. I think Vinny absolutely deserved this contract, and to do it without, you know, real harsh bloodshed, that at least from what we've seen publicly in this situation, I think is a win-win scenario for both sides.
I also like, and we talked to Vern about this earlier, you can catch it on the podcast page. I also like that there's an incentive to get him up to $60 million. Because Vern pointed this out, and he said it before, and I'm not saying Vern's 100% right, but it's worth noting. It felt like earlier in the season, last year, Vinny was aware of arbitration looming and was trying to put up monster numbers to, you know, set his number in at a higher level. The fact that he's locked in at 11 and he can get to 16 only benefits him to play well. I don't know what the benefits are. Maybe there's team incentive. I don't know. But I like that he's locked in at 11 and it still gives him the wiggle room to, hey, if you go out and ball out, there's more money to be made for you, but you have a baseline. You don't have to go in this season gripping the bat a little tighter.
Yeah, here's the money. You've earned the guarantee on it for what you've done the last 2 years. But the incentives are sort of like a, hey, you can continue to prove it sort of thing. You can continue to build on what you've done and earn yourself a good chunk of change while doing it. 2 years, $11 million. Vinny Pasquantino avoids arbitration. He's locked into the team for another couple of years after hitting .264 last season with 32 home runs and 113 RBIs. One of the key pieces of the Royals sticking around, not as if that was out of the question, for 2 more years with that contract. Logan Weber alongside producer Rob Britton here on The Drive. CDOT is off today. Stick around with us. 913-586-7965 is our number. We've got more coming up, including a mock draft from Pro Football Focus that I think is a complete and utter dumpster fire. That's next here on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
On your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
Well, it's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one final kickoff, your final chance to place your bets before the NFL season closes its tab. This is the 60th Super Bowl, and FanDuel is making sure that you're in on it. If you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So whether you're backing the favorite, maybe you're riding with the underdog, or you're building that last same-game parlay. So whether you're betting the spread, who's going to win MVP, or who you think's going to find the end zone, FanDuel's got you covered for this year's Super Bowl. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, it's done. Finito. So it's your last call for football this season on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. And visit FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook and the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued non-withdrawal bonus. Like 7th Street. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me!
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker.
Yes.
Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus. The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me!
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker.
Yes.
Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can test your sports IQ in real time with Robinhood Prediction Markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions all game long. You know the game. Put it to use. Trade every play with Robinhood. Download the app today. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues with UFC 325 live from Australia. Catch featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski in a rematch of his epic title fight against Diego Lopez, and the always dangerous Dan Hooker throws down with dynamic finisher Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown. UFC fans, pay-per-view just got knocked out. Catch UFC 325 on Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus. Stream every fight live with one subscription. Visit ParamountPlus.com/UFC to get started.
Did you know that you can watch all your favorite shows right on YouTube? We're live streaming Fesco and Dusty, Cody and Gold, The Drive, and After Hours all day long. So if you want to look at the beautiful Alex Gold, interact with Cody Tapp in the chat, or gaze at the ruggedly handsome Dusty Likens, just go to YouTube and watch them while you pretend to work. Go to our channel, hit subscribe, and stay up to date with 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
Two-car crash still working 70 westbound just before 40 highway. Right lane is blocked. We've got a new problem now on 435 eastbound. It's right at State Line. Right lane blocked there. That is a stall. We've got a crash 35 southbound just past Levee. Left lane is blocked. Very heavy coming into downtown. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Chiefs football.
always take these mock drafts with a grain of salt. There are some you like, there's some you don't like, and there are some that are just downright despicable. And I gotta say, I found one. This came via Josh Liskowitz of Pro Football Focus. He authored a 7-round mock draft for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it goes as such. Mind you, this starts with, of course, the Chiefs only having 5 picks in the draft, one in each of the first 5 rounds, none in the 6th or 7th. He begins with the Chiefs drafting Jeremiah Love with the 9th overall pick. I have said it repeatedly that I don't like the idea. I don't think that he warrants a top 10 pick. He's not a generational back like we've seen come through the league in recent years. He's not a Derrick Henry or a Saquon or a Bijan Robinson or a CMC. I don't even think he's an Ashton Genty sort of back in this year's class. So drafting him at number 9, I hate the idea. Draft a running back in the middle rounds and then sign somebody out of free agency. I would love to see Kenneth Walker for the Chiefs. In fact, I saw Pro Football Focus come out with their best fits for some of the best offensive and defensive free agents, and they had Kenneth Walker's best fit in free agency this year listed as the Kansas City Chiefs. I completely agree with that sentiment. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's going to be very, very expensive, and the Chiefs, let's face it, are in cap purgatory right now. It only goes downhill from there, because in the 2nd round, with the 40th overall pick, he has the Chiefs selecting Jennings Dunker, right tackle out of Iowa. And I know, for those of you who know me, that feels blasphemous for me to say out loud. I love the University of Iowa. I'm a huge Hawkeye fan. I love Jennings Dunker as a player. I think he'll be a great guard and or right tackle in this league. Why are the Chiefs using a 2nd round pick when right now, by all appearances, Jalen Moore is going to be your starting right tackle next year? You're not going to save enough money by cutting him to justify it. Jawan Taylor, yes. But you've got Josh Simmons at left tackle, Kingsley, Creed, Trey Smith. Jalen Moore is going to be your right tackle. Drafting one in the 2nd round when you have massive needs in other position groups would be outrageous to me. The pick that I don't despise in this mock is in the 3rd round. He's got him taking Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. I don't hate that pick, 74th overall, right? I don't think he's a needle mover by any means. Not when you look at Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate. You know, there are some big wide receiver options in this upcoming draft that are going to blow a guy like Jeremy Bernard out of the water. But he's productive. He did good things at Alabama. Middle round pick, fine. Especially because you already drafted a damn running back. So, okay, fine. Take him in the 3rd round. 4th round, Marlon Klein from Michigan. I don't even know who that is. As a 4th round pick, a tight end, last year for the Wolverines, he had 24 catches for 248 yards and 1 touchdown. And we're taking him in the 4th round? He's got great size. I won't argue that he is a prototypical tight end in terms of his size. 6'6", 250 pounds. He's got good measurables. I get it. But that little productivity, you want to take a flyer on a guy like that in the 4th round? I'd rather get like the tight end from Ohio State in that situation. And then in the 5th round, he has the Chiefs taking Nadami Tucker from Western Michigan. A highly productive player for the Broncos. No question. The guy had 14.5 sacks. He forced 4 fumbles last year at Western Michigan. This team has a massive need for edge rushing help, for interior defensive line help. And you're suggesting that the Chiefs wait until the 5th round to try to address it? That is a bad mock draft. There aren't many good mock drafts out there, okay? Not at this point in the year, not in January. Everybody's just trying to throw something at the wall and seeing if it sticks. But by every measure of the word, that is a horrendous draft class, top to bottom. I absolutely despise it. You didn't draft an interior defensive lineman. You didn't draft a safety. Let's throw that out there, which you will probably need to do because I don't think the Chiefs can afford to keep Brian Cook around on a long-term extension. You may have to consider cutting Drew Tranquill this offseason to try to save yourself a little bit of cap space. $6 million you could save by cutting him. You're not going to consider drafting a linebacker in those middle rounds? I don't like any of it.
I'm not going to lie. I know we're up against a break here. It warms my heart to hear your team no running back in the first round. Too often on this show, I fight Carrington on. He wants Breece Hall to be the big free agent signing, or Jeremiah Love fills up the text line. Just no. No. Do not waste a top 10 pick on a running back. And I'm happy we're simpatico. Too often I fight the good fight on this show about running back, but it's nice to know a voice of reason has sat in that chair today.
I mean, I'm sorry. Even if Jeremiah Love comes in and he's a 1,300-yard rusher every single year, the NFL places that value at what? 12 to 14, $15 million a year? Versus if you were to hit on an edge rusher at the 9th overall pick, he's not going to be there. But if you can land Ruben Bain by some weird miracle at number 9, and he becomes a 12 to 15 sack a year guy, that's a $20 million value. It's just the capital that it requires and the hit rate versus miss rate on edge rushers outside of the top 10 of a draft. There are a lot more misses than hits. Find somebody that's impactful in the top 10 outside of the running back group because it is the least valued position in football outside of the kicker, the punter, and the long snapper. You can find somebody that can go get you 1,000 yards on the ground via the free agent class. Okay, look at what Rico Dowdle did for the Carolina Panthers this year. Look at what Javonte Williams did for the Cowboys, excuse me. Tyler Algier was a great back. He just got overshadowed by a huge generational talent in Bijan Robinson. I think he's still got tread on the tires, and I still love the idea of Kenneth Walker, not Jeremiah Love with the 9th overall pick. 913-586-7965 is our number. The Drive here on 96.5 The Fan. We'll get back into some more conversation about the reports of Dylan McCullough being requested an interview to talk with the Kansas City Chiefs about the running backs position. We'll do that next, as well as the hits coming up on 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on Kansas City's only FM sports station, 96.5 The Fan. Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
This one brought to you by DM Injury Law. Mike's got this. We've got a crash, let's see, headed up into Liberty. 35 northbound just past 69. The right lane is blocked. Downtown, 35 southbound past Levy. Left lane blocked. Very heavy in the area. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Josh Vern. You're in before I head out to Arizona to see the boys in blue in spring training. I'll be hosting the Royals Rally Show live from Kauffman Stadium on Saturday, January 31st, starting at 9 a.m. The biggest names in the organization will join me for exclusive one-on-one interviews as they get ready for the 2026 season. If you miss any of the show, it'll all be available afterwards on the All Things Vern podcast channel. The Royals Rally Show, Saturday, January 31st, starting at 9, right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
DQ presents The Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
Call Hamilton today for our $79 mainline drain cleaning special. The pros at Hamilton will inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. The expert technicians at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to solve your problem the right way, the first time. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 2025-11121. DQ presents The Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve. Plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Swisey menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Yes. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
Oh! There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Hey, it's Alex Gold, and coming up on Tuesday, February 10th, everyone from the station will be hosting the Chiefs Off-Season Show, starting at 9 a.m. Bob, Dusty, Cody, C-Dot, and myself will all be in studio and on camera for 2 hours talking about what went wrong in 2025, the Chiefs' biggest needs in free agency, and who should they be targeting in the upcoming NFL Draft. The Chiefs Off-Season Show, starting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, February 10th, right here on your home for Chiefs football, 96.5 The Fan.
Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch all your favorite shows, shorts, and clips. This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Sometimes things just work out. Sometimes the scripts write themselves, you know? The Drive here on 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. Logan Weber filling in for C-Dot today alongside Rob Brenton. Breaking news in the last hour of the show. We talked about it a little bit ago. The Kansas City Royals and Vinny Pasquantino in agreement on a 2-year deal to avoid arbitration. It comes with more than $11 million in guaranteed money over the length of the contract, with incentives that could balloon it up to $16 million. Great news. I talked earlier in the show about how much I hate arbitration, the fears I had about how it could strain the relationship between Vinny and the front office and the ownership group of the Royals. We've seen it happen time and time again. Last night on After Hours, I'd mentioned some of the, Bo Bichette with the Toronto Blue Jays. That was a particularly contentious arbitration that they had. Well, Bichette left Toronto the first opportunity he had. He's now a member of the New York Mets. Corbin Burns had another really public, messy arbitration with the Milwaukee Brewers. Less than 2 years later, he was traded to the Baltimore Orioles. These arbitration hearings can somehow do irreparable damage to that working professional relationship between a player and a general manager or an ownership group. The Royals able to kind of avoid that situation and keep Vinny around. You know, talking about the Kansas City Royals, I want to remind you guys we've got our Royals rally tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to noon. We'll have our resident Royals insider, Josh Vernier. Vern will be broadcasting live from Kauffman Stadium tomorrow morning. You'll hear from a variety of players, front office members of the Kansas City Royals, including, and Vern just told us this a little while ago, Vinny Pasquantino will be one of the guests on the show tomorrow, so make sure that you tune in. 9 a.m. to noon, the Royals rally. If you miss it live, you don't have a chance to get it in tomorrow morning, that's all right. Go on demand. It's on the All Things Vern channel through the Odyssey app. You'll be able to listen to it. Again, the Royals rally tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to noon, that we'll have that for you. I love hearing that. I'm so glad that they were able to just bob and weave that situation, because those arbitration hearings just don't go particularly well. Somebody in the text line just asked, what does arbitration mean? More or less, it means that in this particular situation, and the arbitration is a factor in many different businesses, including sometimes the one that we're a part of, Rob. But in baseball, the player and representatives of the player, they come up with a number. So for this example, Vinny was asking for $4.5 million for this year for the Royals. The Royals come up with a number of their own. In this situation, it was $4 million that the Royals were offering. They hire an impartial judge, an arbiter, who hears the argument from both sides and then makes a decision. Whether that be, okay, yeah, the Royals win the argument here, so Vinny will only get $4 million, or the player is awarded the arbitration win, which would have given Vinny the $4.5 million that he would have wanted to, that he had asked for. They're able to avoid that altogether. The worst part of the arbitration process is that in these hearings, you know, it's the player or the representatives of the player, typically agents, lawyers, things of that nature, arguing why the player deserves the amount of money that they're asking for, the production that they put out there on the field, their relationship with their teammates, the leadership that they bring, how the fan base enjoys them, those sorts of things. And then on the flip side, for the front office, for the ownership group, it's about poking holes in that argument. It's about saying, yeah, you've done some good things, and let's use Vinny as the example here and what an arbitration hearing might have sounded like. The Royals would have been like, yeah, you had 30 home runs last year. You hit 100 RBIs. That's great. You played in 161 games, but you dealt with pretty serious injuries in each of the 2 years prior to that. You're not a Gold Glove caliber first baseman. You're a little slow on the base pass. Those are the sorts of things that get thrown around in a hearing of that nature that can strain the relationship between a player and the team that he plays for. I'm so glad that none of that ended up happening, that the Royals and Vinny and his team were able to find an agreement, one that I think benefits both sides. Vinny gets fairly good money, saying, hey, we love what you've done for us so far. And it opens the door to a little bit more of prove it. You continue to play well, you can make more money than the $11 million guaranteed that's on the deal, with that $5 million roughly in incentives that they're reporting in the contract. I think it's a great idea.
Before we get to the hits and Dylan McCullough and all that, I have a question for you. And you know what? I will take the role of Debbie Downer in this moment. I have a question for you. Are you a little bit disappointed they only bought out 2 years of arbitration? Because historically, the Royals operate like this. They try to avoid these trials as best they can, dating back to Dayton Moore's era, because of everything you said. You sit in a courtroom, and the people that employ you have to be like, here's why he sucks and is not worth any money. They try to avoid these situations. They historically buy out all the arbitration years so that they get a locked set cost with the player. They don't have to do these trials, and then The player gets what he wants. He's still going to be a free agent at the timeline he prefers. This, that, and the other. We've seen it multiple times. Cole Reagans, they bought out his arbitration. Bobby, they bought out his arbitration years, and then obviously a lot more. Hunter Dozier, historically, when they bought out his arbitration years. Maikel Garcia's extension, they bought out his years and tacked a few more on the backside. The Royals are big on buying out all the ARB-eligible years. You a little surprised that it's only 2 years for Vinny? Because at the end of this 2-year deal, I believe he's still ARB eligible and will circle back to the process. Are you surprised they didn't buy out all the years?
Not completely. No, I'm a little bit disappointed. I would say that, but I'm not necessarily surprised. I mean, Vinny's 28 years old already. You know, by the time they reach that third year of arbitration, Vinny's going to be on the wrong side of 30. He'll be 30 years old by the time they reach that point. So I don't know if the Royals believe that by giving him 2 years, maybe that third year of arbitration that he'll have when this contract expires will be less than it looks like right now. I don't know. You know, this could be a situation. Maybe Vinny was the one that said he didn't want to do the full 3 years and avoid arbitration altogether. Because if he puts together another 2, you know, with these next 2 seasons, if he puts together a couple more 30 home run, 100 RBI seasons the way that he did last year, then that final year of his arbitration could be an astronomical number that the Royals are not necessarily prepared for. So I am not surprised as much as I am maybe a little bit disappointed that they weren't able to do what they did with Maikel Garcia and with Bobby Witt Jr. But from the Royals' perspective, from the front office standpoint, to, I guess, defend them a little bit in that situation, Maikel Garcia's younger than Vinny, right? Bobby, younger than Vinny. When those massive deals were put in place for those guys, Vinny was over 30 by the time he was those free agent years, presumably, in Kansas City. I kind of understand why they're maybe a little bit more conservative in their approach with the Pasquatch than they were with some of those other guys that you mentioned. I agree with somebody in the text line who said you ruined the rest of their day because you mentioned Hunter Dozier.
I mean, that's what they did. I could have just said Cole Reagans, but I had to have a good and a bad to illustrate my point.
Oh God, Hunter Dozier. Oh goodness. My only real story surrounding Hunter Dozier was when I was working down in Springfield before I made the move back up here. This would have been, 3 years ago at this point. You know, everybody refers to that moniker of a player hitting under 200 as the Mendoza line, right? That's what it's commonly referred to as. I decided one day I was going to change that. And so we had a running joke on our show in Springfield. Instead of calling it the Mendoza line, it was the Mendozier line, because that's how horrendous a baseball player he became after he signed that extension. He absolutely fell off a cliff when he signed that extension, and he is going to live much in the chagrin of Royals fans for a very, very long period of time, without question. Rob, I was going to try to get to some Dylan McCullough. We may do that a little bit later on here, but while we've got some time, why don't we play the hits?
Your workday is over.
Oh, yeah.
You're headed home, and now you're stuck in traffic. Time to get caught up on the biggest stories in Kansas City and around the country with CDOT and Rob. It's time for the hits. Number 1.
Well, Logan, as always, hits are brought to you by Baker University. Make your next era orange at Baker University, the first university in Kansas, and ranked number 1 in return on investment on private universities in the state. Baker University, forever in our orange era. We will get to Dylan McCullough, and it will come up in the hits, but you know what? I write the hits, so I pick what's number 1, and that means we're talking about Darren Peterson. That's simple. End of discussion. He plays tomorrow, Allen Fieldhouse, 3:30. College game day will be there. They take on BYU, AJ DeBansta. Fun fact, last year when DeBansta and Darren Peterson played a high school game, Darren scored 58. People forget that. I will bring it up forever. Putting all my Darren love aside, why are people not more hyped up for this matchup, Logan? Because I feel like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, a college matchup that featured the number 1, number 2 overall pick presumptively going against each other on a weekend with no football would be the number 1 story on ESPN. But it is not. Are you surprised that considering the magnitude of matchup, both in league and talent, there is not more hype and buzz for what's happening in Lawrence tomorrow?
it's a cop-out answer, but yes and no. I mean, you're right. In terms of, when is the last time we saw two prospects in college, as hyped up as these two are, at the same time, playing against each other head-to-head? You pointed out, maybe when KD was around, and some of those things. One of the ones I thought of was did Buddy Hield and Frank Mason ever go head-to-head during their time in college together? But it's not like those two were ever top 2 picks in the NBA draft. So it may be, I think it's a combination of things. First of all, it's not as if these are 2 top 5 teams in the country, right? They're top 15, but they're not top 5. So maybe that's a little bit of the slowdown with it. I also think the pull of these guys are hotshot NBA prospects. 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been a much more hot commodity. I think some of the damper on it is the international players in the NBA. It's as good as college basketball continues to be. It's hard not to look at the NBA and say, but the best players in the NBA are international guys. You're not going to get as many, NBA fans as hyped to tune into this sort of thing when you're like, yeah, college players are all well, but when's the last time you saw a college player win an MVP? When's the last time you saw a guy come out, it's really hard. SGA.
Shea, yeah.
He did play a year at Kentucky, so I guess
Embiid
that's
also
fair.
played a year at Kansas a
But
couple years ago.
would you, when you watched SGA at the University of Kentucky, would you have said at that point that guy could win an MVP in the NBA? I wouldn't have. Embiid at Kansas, fine, but when you look across at the Luka Doncic's and the Wembys and the Giannis's, and I think that has sort of hurt the college basketball hype train a little bit. Maybe I'm overreading into that, but I don't know.
Number 2.
I guess we can talk about actual Chiefs news. News feels like a strong term. Actual Chiefs rumors, that's what we'll call it. Chiefs rumors. Per sources from Adam Schefter, this kind of broke late yesterday as our show was ending and actually Logan was taking the air. Dylan McCullough, former Chiefs running back coach, is been asked permission by the Chiefs to interview for their current running back coach job. McCullough was with the Chiefs until 2020. He then went to Notre Dame and then with the Raiders. And now the Chiefs have requested permission to talk to McCullough again. Logan, a lot has been made about the coaching staff this offseason. It's probably the biggest story with the Chiefs until they start signing or cutting players. Do you like the idea of a potential reunion with Dylan McCullough coming back in the fold? And does that mean it's Jeremiah Love time?
My God, I hope not, right? That's the biggest thing. If this signing does happen, right? If they do bring McCullough over from the Raiders, which I would be willing to bet considerable U.S. currency on that is what's going to happen, those storylines are going to drown out anything else. He was the running backs coach at Notre Dame. He was a heavy influence in recruiting Jeremiah Love to South Bend. He talks, Jeremiah Love sings the praises of Dylan McCullough and has for several years now. I don't hate this move. Because of the biggest factor in it, I don't love the idea of it being another now former Andy Reid coaching product coming back to the team, right? That does give me a great deal of pause. But the biggest the biggest thing that I've asked for from the Chiefs this offseason in terms of their coaching staff, especially the running back coach and the wide receiver coaching jobs, are to find experienced guys for those groups. They didn't have that before. The guys that they put in there were quality control coaches and offensive analysts who'd never coached the position groups before, and it blew up in their face, let's face it. What I like about Dylan McCullough is there is a laundry list of experience that he's got coaching running backs, both in college and in the NFL, including his time in Kansas City. He got the running backs coach job when Bieniemy was hired to be the offensive coordinator and given the promotion. That I have my reservations about of another Andy Reid guy coming back to coach on this staff. but I love the idea of an experienced running backs coach leading this unit because I think they need it desperately right now.
Number 3.
Logan, our third and final hit takes us back to the diamond. Not Vinny Pasquantino, though, but Bobby Witt Jr. As last night, MLB Network was putting together a list of top players at respective positions, and Royals shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. was listed as the best shortstop in baseball and one of the top 10 players on MLB's top 100 list, similar to how the NFL Network does theirs. But Logan, I am of the belief that not in Kansas City, but nationwide, Bobby Witt Jr. is not the household name he should be. Do you believe that despite his greatness, Bobby Witt still has more to achieve when it comes to cachet, name recognition, and fame? Because right now, no disrespect to the numbers, and wow, the numbers are great. I think if we interviewed people in Cleveland, New York, Boston, wherever the A's play, Oakland/Vegas/Sacramento, I don't know he's the household name he should be. Do you believe this could be the year Bobby becomes more of a celebrity than just a baseball player?
Oh, no question in my mind, I believe he can. You know, he's put together maybe the best 2-year stretch that any shortstop has ever played this game at. I mean, and that's high praise to throw out there. Unfortunately for Bobby, he's been overshadowed by historic, absolutely monumental performances from other players. You know, I look at what Bobby's done over the past 4 years he's been in Major League Baseball. He's had to contend with Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 season. He's had to contend with what Ronald Acuna Jr. did with the Atlanta Braves. Shohei Ohtani being, you said it earlier, basically Babe Ruth. But he's doing them both at the same time, right? Babe was a great pitcher and then a great hitter. Shohei Ohtani's both at the same time. He's had to contend with Aaron Judge consistently hitting over 50 home runs a year and setting the American League record for home runs in a single season. And then he has to deal with Cal Raleigh being the first catcher to ever hit 60 bombs in a single season. He himself has played historically great baseball. He's just gotten the lack of opportunity to showcase it nationwide because he's been overshadowed by guys doing even greater things than what he has been doing, which is absolutely absurd to say out loud. It also doesn't help that he's played on 2 really bad Royals baseball teams, one, ALDS caliber baseball team, and one middle of the road, you barely missed the playoffs team, right? I mean, it's been a ho-hum run over the last 4 years for the Kansas City Royals, which cannot be helping his case right now. Bobby Witt Jr. is the best shortstop in baseball. Full stop. He's the 3rd best player in baseball. Full stop. I would argue, in terms of all-around 5-tool capabilities, the best position player all around in Major League Baseball. Unfortunately, he's having to contend for national prominence with a guy who's doing things we haven't seen in 100 years, doing it at the same time, a guy that's hitting home runs at a Barry Bonds level clip, and a catcher hitting 60 home runs in a single season. You know, I can't imagine those things, maybe outside of Shohei Ohtani. I don't imagine Cal Raleigh hitting 60 home runs again. Father Time has to catch up with Aaron Judge at some point, even though he's hitting in that Mickey Mouse ballpark in New York. Maybe the new dimensions of Kauffman Stadium benefit Bobby Witt Jr. a little bit more. If he can get back to that season he had in 2024, where he's back to hitting 330-ish, he's contending for the batting title in Major League Baseball, certainly in the American League. I look at, he hit 32 home runs, or 32 home runs in 2024 with the new dimensions of the ballpark. If he can become a 35 home run guy this year while hitting 330, have to imagine the guy's going to amass at least 110 RBIs, steal another 30 bags. He's going to have an even better MVP case than he did 2 years ago. And that, in and of itself, will, I think, allow for Bobby to burst onto the scene finally wouldn't hurt if he had a couple of those wow moments that go viral via social media. You know, he had a chance a couple years ago with that home run derby that he lost in the championship round of. Some of those moments could be what ultimately places him over the top. He's got a shot with the World Baseball Classic first to kind of make that statement for the rest of Major League Baseball.
I actually think what you said at the end there is a great chance for Bobby to burst onto the national stage and then use this season to parlay that success into bigger success. Because we saw a couple, this is no disrespect to Shohei Ohtani's ability, but the first time before he started winning World Series and being the Triple Crown guy, all these things, what did we first notice Ohtani on the scene with? It wasn't when he was with the Angels. I promise you that. It was in the World Baseball Classic when he was pitching and hitting. And remember, there was that at-bat between he and Mike Trout when he was pitching. And people then went, whoa, that dude was batting. And now he's staring down the barrel of the best hitter in baseball with the game on the line. It was like everyone just went, whoa, because no one watched Angels games. I think Bobby Witt Jr. with a big World Baseball Classic can do the same thing. Maybe not to a Shohei level because Bobby can't play Gold Glove shortstop, hit like he does, and then go pitch the 8th inning like Shohei does. He's a freak. I hate using that comparison, but Shohei became part of the national zeitgeist with the World Baseball Classic, and then we started really following him, and then he became a Dodger, and now it's all it is. I think Bobby has a chance to hit a game winner, make an incredible snag, have a 4-for-4 day, do something really impressive. A couple of years ago, it was, I think it was 2 World Baseball Classics ago. Remember Adam Jones had a big home run for Team USA, and he kind of became more of a household name. If Bobby does that with America across his chest, I think he has a chance to really parlay that success into household name, not just in Kansas City, but in LA and in Cleveland and in, Chicago, Milwaukee. I think this is his moment, not to put too much pressure on the kid, but he has a chance to really explode as a pop, as they would say in wrestling.
Yeah, and do it in a field that includes, just look at if he was able to accomplish that with Aaron Judge being on that same team, being the captain of that USA team in the World Baseball Classic, that would only further help his case for national prominence. With Shohei Ohtani competing, with the loaded rosters of the Venezuelan and Puerto Rican and Dominican Republic teams that are going to be competing in the World Baseball Classic, he is going to have opportunities with a loaded roster he's playing on himself, playing against other guys that are among the top competition in Major League Baseball in an international setting with, like you said, that USA across your chest, which just elicits this absolutely insane, visceral response from those of us in the U.S. of do we really care that much about fencing? But every 4 years when you turn on the Olympics and you see an American competing in fencing, you're all of a sudden somewhat of a fencing fan because, hey, they're representing our country. That could definitely, I completely agree with you, just absolutely shoot Bobby Witt Jr. into a different stratosphere of not only baseball celebrity, but sports celebrity that many believe he's very deserving of, because at 25 years old, he's the 3rd best player in baseball. Without a doubt, he is the best player in the big leagues, frankly, under the age of 30, let alone under the age of 26. His career, some would argue he's maybe not even hit the prime of his career yet, which is a very exciting thought if you're a Royals fan and a terrifying thought if you're a fan of another team in Major League Baseball. 913-586-7965 is our number. C-Dot off today. I'm Logan Weber filling in for him alongside Rob Britton, our producer, doing a great job. As always, you're listening to The Drive, 96.5, The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5, The Fan.
Revitalize your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select vanities and free delivery during our bath savings event. Plus, get up to 40% off select shower heads. No matter what style you're looking for, we've got you covered. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
Straight Talk presents the math of more. Here's how it works. When you say yes to more with Straight Talk, you're left with more for all the other good stuff. So getting an unlimited plan starting at just $25 a month equals more savings for your family's weekend adventures. And with a network covered by Verizon, you can share more from wherever you go. It's simple math, really. More equals more with Straight Talk. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. The $25 plan requires a compatible unlocked device and a new line of service. Additional terms apply.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me!
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
And Doug.
There's nowhere I wouldn't go to help someone customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual, even if it means playing in a football game.
Boom! 42! You're going down, Doug!
Oh, yeah? Your price on car insurance when you customize and save is going down.
Hey!
Limu? What are you doing on their team? Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Straight Talk presents the math of more. Here's how it works. When you say yes to more with Straight Talk, you're left with more for all the other good stuff. So getting an unlimited plan starting at just $25 a month equals more savings for your family's weekend adventures. And with a network covered by Verizon, you can share more from wherever you go. It's simple math, really. More equals more with Straight Talk. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. The $25 plan requires a compatible unlocked device and a new line of service. Additional terms apply.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me!
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker. Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
Revitalize your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select vanities and free delivery during our bath savings event. Plus, get up to 40% off select shower heads. No matter what style you're looking for, we've got you covered. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
Hey, it's Gold, and just because the calendar turned over to 2026 doesn't mean Shawnee Mission Ford still isn't on a mission to do more. In fact, they're still offering the largest discounts, giving top trade allowances in Kansas City. I'm still enjoying driving the great Ford F-150. That 360 camera makes the parking so easy for me now. Also, the heated seats, remote start, it is a must in the wintertime. So if you're looking for a place to buy a vehicle, it is Shawnee Mission Ford. They're also going to be with you whenever you need the service done. Shawnee Mission Ford is on a mission to do more in 26.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ Soft Serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into Soft Serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
Kansas side of things, that's a crash, 435 southbound at Leavenworth. Right lane is blocked. And then you've got a two-car crash. Let's see, 291 highway northbound, just past 70. Very heavy in that area. I'm Val with traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
We're talking a lot about all these different position groups that the Chiefs are going to need to find answers for this offseason. Defensive tackle, defensive end, running back, maybe even wide receiver, the safety position, cornerback possibly. But one of the other, very under the radar moves that I think Chiefs fans aren't talking enough about, Chiefs are going to have to get a backup quarterback, one that may actually have to play a little bit. We can all sit here and hope for the best that Patrick Mahomes is ready to go week 1, but you can't plan on that. I don't think you can bet on, a great deal of money anyway, on Patrick Mahomes being ready to go by week 3 or week 4 for this Chiefs team. So finding a reliable quarterback that can come in, start the first game at least, if not the first couple of games of the regular season, get you off on the right foot before Mahomes comes back is going to be a huge storyline to follow for the Chiefs. Well, it sounds as if they might have another option potentially. The Atlanta Falcons, in an article, started out, I think the initial report came from The Athletic, that the Falcons are probably going to release Kirk Cousins in March. They will be saving themselves a ridiculous amount of money in the process. And so Kirk Cousins, his name gets thrown into the hat for potential quarterbacks in this free agent class coming up in the next few months. And I have to say, I love the idea of Kirk Cousins being the backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Is he a perfect fit for the scheme? No. He's definitely more of a pocket passer. He's not somebody that can tuck it away or extend plays with his feet. Really hard to ask for that from a backup quarterback. Because if they could do all those things and do it effectively, they'd be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So for a few weeks, just as a stopgap, I think Kirk Cousins is an outstanding fit for the Kansas City Chiefs. There are going to be some problems that come to the fore if you're Kansas City. Number one is, how much is he going to ask for? He's still going to have a pretty decent price tag on his head. Number two, how gung-ho is Kirk Cousins about the idea of continuing to be a starting quarterback in this league? I mean, to be a quarterback in the NFL, you have to have a pretty pristine confidence in yourself. I'm sure he thinks he can still do it, and he may still be looking for that option. Here's what I asked Kirk Cousins. Do you want to go find somewhere where you can be a starting quarterback again? Do you want to go to Minnesota and try to compete with J.J. McCarthy for the starting quarterback job? Do you want to go to New York and be a stopgap for a year on a bad football team while they tank to try to get Dante Moore again next year, potentially? Or do you want to go somewhere and potentially compete for a Super Bowl for one of the few times in your career? Yes, I know you'll be doing it as a backup quarterback, but I mean, really, when has Kirk Cousins ever been in a viable position to win a Super Bowl in his entire NFL career? When? That NFC Championship game that they got to, one of those years with the Stephon Diggs catch and all that crazy stuff. Kirk Cousins has never been, to me, a quarterback capable of winning a Super Bowl. Why not go somewhere and be a backup quarterback? You'll have a chance to play and start, help somebody along in Patrick Mahomes coming back off the injury, and maybe get yourself that Lombardi. Maybe get yourself that Super Bowl ring before your career's said and done with. I don't know. It feels like an interesting sort of thing that you can throw Kirk Cousins' way.
I like the idea. I do think how the Chiefs handle quarterback this offseason will give us an idea of how they feel about Patrick Mahomes' health. Because I know that Patrick Mahomes in that press conference, I believe we carried it live 2-3 weeks ago now, said he is working every day with the goal of being back for week 1. He also said in the same clip, you never know about setbacks, you never know how your body's going to respond, but that's my goal. And it's a great goal. I want it, you want it, text line wants it. Everyone wants Patrick Mahomes back 100% week 1. It would be incredible. But I think if the Chiefs go out and sign Gardner Minshew, a Chad Henne, a Matt Moore type, I'm talking about pure backup, guy with a clipboard, great in the classroom, but you really don't want to ever see him take the headset off unless there's a nightmare. If they sign that guy, That's the Chiefs telling us that without telling us, hey, rehab's going good. We expect 15 to be back because this is the ultimate one-game stopgap. This is not a 2-week guy. This is not a guy that could be a starter. This is a guy that is just on the roster. If they sign a Kirk Cousins, if they sign a Zach Wilson type, I'm talking about guys who have started in the league, even Mac Jones, like a guy who has made starts in the league, but is probably a backup, but is definitely more than just a pinch hitter. If they sign him, that's, I think, their way of saying without saying, hey, heads up, Patrick might have had a setback. Patrick might not be ready for week 1. So if the Chiefs, who have all the medical information and are aware of the rehab process, go out and sign Kirk Cousins, I would be pro that move. I also think it's a sign that the Chiefs are preparing for life with more than one game of no Patrick Mahomes. So I would operate that way. I also know that Kirk Cousins and his agent are going to operate that way, which is a big hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Does Kirk Cousins want to continue to try to vie for a starting quarterback job? Is that where he still believes he is in his career? You know, him being on the panel for CBS for that AFC Championship game told me something a little bit different. Maybe I'm reading the tea leaves and, reading too much into the tea leaves there. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. If they go out and they bring Gardner Minshew back to be the backup quarterback, it's like, okay, the expectation is that Mahomes is going to be back week 1. But what if something happens, right? What if one of those setbacks hits and all of a sudden, instead of him being ready week 1, it's week 4, it's week 6, it's week 9. And you're like, oh no, what have we done? I would rather you go a little bit further than maybe many would say you need to go for a starting quarterback, or for a backup quarterback, I should say, just in case. Just an emergency, if happens, break glass kind of situation, that I would be much more comfortable if Patrick Mahomes, if something happens and he ends up missing the first 6 weeks of the regular season. I feel much more confident in this team's ability to win football games if Kirk Cousins is your backup than Gardner Minshew or Marcus Mariota or Jimmy Garoppolo. But then again, I feel like there's teams around the NFL that probably feel the same way.
I would put Garoppolo and Mariota in the same category as Cousins, though. They seem like guys who have started in the league and could pinch hit for a 3-week role. I would probably have Cousins than those guys.
Yeah.
But I would rather have any of those guys than whatever 2026 Matt Moore looks like. I don't even have a name of what that comparison would be. Who's a guy toiling away on a bench that we never see? Aiden O'Connell. That's a name. That's the name I'll use this instead of Matt Moore. I much rather have that type of player that, hey, in a pinch, we know you can start games in the NFL because you have experience doing it.
How about Tyrod Taylor?
That's a good name. That's a good example of my Matt Moore name.
Joe Flacco.
Yep.
That's a name they're out there. Case Keenum. How about that one? Yeah, that's Josh Johnson. Bring him to Kansas City. He can mark another team off the list because he's seemingly played for everybody else in the NFL at this point. Am I probably taking it? Am I saying this as if it's going to happen? Is it a viable option? It probably isn't. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. Is Jameis Winston available? I don't think he is. Is he?
He is a free agent, to my knowledge.
Really?
I don't know that he's the type of player Andy Reid likes.
He signed a 2-year deal with the Giants, I thought.
I thought there's an out.
Okay, so they could still... Yeah, there is. So they could potentially opt out.
They could opt out.
But, I mean, they could probably keep him around as their backup.
You're right. He's not a free agent.
Because Russell Wilson is a free agent. So they don't presumably have a backup currently in New York. Yeah, Jameis would be I'd sign up for Jameis in a heartbeat. He'd be fun. He'd be a great locker room guy. I just don't know if the Giants are going to part ways. I don't know. Listening to The Drive here on 96.5 The Fan, somebody just said Aaron Rodgers' name. No, absolutely not. I don't want Aaron Rodgers on my football team ever. Ignore that name. We're going to strike it from the record. I never said it out loud. Big Aaron Rodgers hater. Hand to God, I am. I do not like the individual. Don't like him as a player. 913-586-7965 is our number. We'll come back, wrap up the week that is The Drive. Logan Weber filling in for Carrington Harrison alongside Rob Britton. You're listening to your home for Kansas City Sports.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan.
Well, the big game is right around the corner, and I'm imagining that you're going to watch the last football game of the season with family and friends. So look no further than our friends over at Gates Barbecue for party trays, which are perfect for your family get-togethers, your big game watch party, and nothing says the big game celebration like the great flavors over at Gates Barbecue that's still doing it the old-fashioned way. So stop in, grab yourself a party tray. You can also grab yourself a wing pack. You can get a 12-pack, a 24-pack, pick up some fries with it, pick up some of that class sauce. Maybe you plan on throwing something on the grill for yourself for the big game. Well, make sure the next time you go to the grocery store, you pick up some of that classic Gates sauce, also some of that classic Gates seasoning along the way. It's Carrington Harrison here telling you that whatever your big game plans are, make sure they include our friends over at Gates Barbecue.
Did you know that you can watch all your favorite shows right on YouTube? We're live streaming Fesco and Dusty, Cody and Gold, The Drive, and After Hours all day long. So if you want to look at the beautiful Alex Gold, interact with Cody Tapp in the chat, or gaze at the ruggedly handsome Dusty Likens, just go to YouTube and watch them while you pretend to work. Go to our channel, hit subscribe, and stay up to date with 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
Save more on brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder. Now just $189. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Revitalize your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select vanities and free delivery during our bath savings event. Plus, get up to 40% off select shower heads. No matter what style you're looking for, we've got you covered. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
What's up? It's Draymond Green. I'm back for my 14th NBA season, and my podcast, The Draymond Green Show, is back too. This season, I'm breaking down games, reacting to the biggest NBA stories, and sitting down with teammates, rivals, and culture shapers. And trust me, I'm not holding back, on the court or on the mic. 2 new episodes every week, new segments, big conversations, real basketball talk for the real hoop heads. Listen to and follow The Draymond Green Show wherever you get your podcasts. We're back, we're better, let's get it.
Straight Talk presents The Math of More. Here's how it works. When you say yes to more with Straight Talk, you're left with more for all the other good stuff. So getting an unlimited plan starting at just $25 a month equals more savings for your family's weekend adventures. And with a network covered by Verizon, you can share more from wherever you go. It's simple math, really. More equals more with Straight Talk. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. The $25 plan requires a compatible unlocked device and a new line of service. Additional terms apply.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues. Live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski.
He is an animal.
Defends his belt at home in an explosive rematch against Diego Lopez.
You gotta be kidding me.
And the always dangerous Dan Hooker.
Yes.
Throws down with powerhouse Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown.
There's never been anything like this. Let's go.
UFC 325, Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus continues with UFC 325 live from Australia. Catch featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski in a rematch of his epic title fight against Diego Lopez, and the always dangerous Dan Hooker throws down with dynamic finisher Benoit Saint-Denis in a high-action lightweight showdown. UFC fans, pay-per-view just got knocked out. Catch UFC 325 on Saturday, January 31st, only on Paramount Plus. Stream every fight live with one subscription. Visit ParamountPlus.com/UFC to get started.
What if your instincts could pay off? With Robinhood Prediction Markets, you could put your knowledge to work on the events that matter to you. Prediction Markets isn't just sports. It's the Fed rate decision, your favorite award show, and so much more beyond the playing field. Trade events with Robinhood. Visit Robinhood.com/predict. That's Robinhood.com/predict. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Hey, it's Josh Vern. You're in before I head out to Arizona to see the boys in blue in spring training. I'll be hosting the Royals Rally Show live from Kauffman Stadium on Saturday, January 31st, starting at 9 a.m. The biggest names in the organization will join me for exclusive one-on-one interviews as they get ready for the 2026 season. If you miss any of the show, it'll all be available afterwards on the All Things Vern podcast channel. The Royals Rally Show, Saturday, January 31st, starting at 9, right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
This is brought to you by Buckner's Heating and Cooling. Everybody knows Buckner's is better. 435 eastbound just past Lackman. The right lane is blocked. The crash in Blue Springs still there. 291 highway northbound just past 70. Right lane blocked. Let's see, back to Kansas side of things. 2-car crash. 435 southbound at Leavenworth. Scoot to the left through here. I'm Ballard Traffic on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
There's not a lot of appetite for the NBA in Kansas City, which is sort of a bummer. I'm a huge basketball guy. I love the NBA. I know C-Dot is a big NBA guy too. But it was interesting last night. We were talking about the latest with the Royals Stadium situation, Overland Park, the Asperia campus thing, not going to happen. Clay County says they're not putting a ballot measure together. Somebody in the text line on After Hours yesterday said, to tear down Kauffman, tear down Arrowhead, and put an NBA arena in. Bring an NBA team to Kansas City. I have to say, I would love an NBA team in the Metro. I absolutely would. Okay, I would be in the office day one trying to apply for a job to be the play-by-play guy for this NBA team. It's never going to happen, folks. The things that have to occur, the easiest solution would be to try to convince Hy-Vee Arena, formerly Kemper, obviously, and the T-Mobile Center, trying to convince one of them to allow an NBA team to take 40-plus nights a year away from them, which is never going to happen. They make way too much money to allow something like that to occur. So that means you're going to have to convince somebody to not only want to own an NBA team in Kansas City, but build at least, and I don't know what the current price of building an NBA arena is, but I would venture to guess it's got to be at least $800 million to build an arena for an NBA team. Who's going to do that? And where are you going to put it? I love the NBA. I would love an NBA team in Kansas City. It ain't happening. I think it's a pipe dream that too many of us are holding on to for dear life.
Listen, I hate to end the show on a negative note. I'd like the NBA in town. No chance. None. T-Mobile Center doesn't want a team.
No.
T-Mobile Center don't want a hockey. By the way, I feel the same way about hockey. Unless they build a new hockey arena, and I know there's a youth sports one out in Overland Park. And
Cable Dahmer over in Independence.
Too small. I feel like hockey and the NBA are never happening here. T-Mobile Center does not want a host tenant. And that's fine. They want to have 300 nights a year open. They think they can get things like the Big 12 tournament, Disney. They think they are better off. I'm not here to argue with them. That's their prerogative. But as long as the T-Mobile Center exists and only wants concerts and to be a venue they can, pick and choose what they want, then the NBA and NHL are not happening here. Unless there is a billionaire in town listening that says, you know what, I'll just put up all the money. Screw you guys. But that ain't happening. I mean, I just watched 2 other local billionaires decide I need tax money to build stadiums. So I don't think this mystical made-up one is going to treat it any differently. So no. Hockey and the NBA are never coming to Kansas City. It's just not happening.
Yeah, 2 billionaires who already had solidified franchises in the city for 50-plus years who said, I need help to build this stadium. And the area said, no. So now we're just supposed to anticipate somebody building an NBA arena all of a sudden? Somebody just said they just got in their truck. Nobody wants the NBA in Kansas City. That's not true. It's not true. I'd love to see the NBA in Kansas City. I am a basketball guy. I would absolutely love it.
Also, to lean into Debbie Downer as the show ends, maybe Mahomes can get a team. I think you guys are severely understating how much money it costs to get a team.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is rich. Clark Hunt is NBA rich, and Clark Hunt signs the paychecks of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
There's the difference.
Yeah, he's going to have to put together a really strong ownership group. Let's see if Mahomes can get a WNBA team into Kansas City, and then maybe we can have a conversation about an NBA team. Usually it's vice versa, though. Rob, I appreciate you making this easy on me today. I'm Logan Weber filling in for Carrington Harrison here on The Drive. Coming up next, Jay Binkley, After Hours, 96.5, The Fan.
Ladies and gentlemen,